mío. Huye de timole barro y mira bona cuente mío su. Oh, wimo, dólar lo guajete. Al amor elefa.
Y a mi le.
Lleva brancanite.
Y a mi le. Bongo ate. Y de mi taramao. Y a mi le.
Llegó a Dideu. Llegó a Dideu, a Diñale como llegó Donorepa. Ahí voy yo a Dideu, a Diñale como ti.
Llegó a Dideu. Llegó a Dideu, ahí ya le gogo, si llegó todo de paz. Ahí voy yo a Dideu, ahí ya le gogo, sí.
Llegó como a Dideu. Se cure galaído, a Dideu, a Diñale como llegó Donorepa. Arriba yo a Dideu, a Diñale como ti.
Llegó a Dideu.
Orille llegó.
Llegó a Dideu, ahí ya le gogo, si llegó todo de paz. Ahí voy yo a Dideu, ahí ya le gogo.
Pájaro, y de
Pájaro,
pájaro,
y de pájaro,
pájaro,
y de pájaro,
pájaro,
y de pájaro,
pájaro.
y de pájaro,
Uchinchegui guapa, uchinchegui guapa. Oboteca chile con lo para mí lo yugo.
Oyuba, Oyuba,
Uchinche,
Ochinche, Otarabaraco, Oyubracata,
uchinchegui guapo, uchinchegui guapo. Oboteca chile con lo para mí lo yugo.
Oyuba, Oyuba,
Uchinche.
Ochinche, Otarabaraco, Oyubracata,
Uchinchegui guapo con lo vi. Uchinchegui guapo y cucole. Uchinchegui guapo. Oboteca chile con lo para mí lo yugo.
Oyuba, Oyuba,
Uchinche.
Otarabaraco, Oyuba.
A que te ipe o chungwailege, a que te ipe o chungwailege, ona o chungwaile,
A que te ile o chumbaile,
ona o chungwaile,
a que te ile o chumbaile,
ona o chungwaile.
a que te ile o chumbaile.
Genio ma genio
Obaichi olongo,
genio ma genio
Obaichi olongo,
Dani mawaye golongo vega,
Ichi olongo,
Dani mawaye golongo vega.
Ichi olongo,
Inigua, iyalote sinigua, iyalote.
Kiniwa, Iyalote, Kiniwa, Iyalote, Iyalote,
Inigua go, iyalote sinigua, iyalote.
Kiniwa, Iyalote, Kiniwa, Iyalote, Iyalote.
Toro garu buye,
Ure, ure, ure.
toro garu guamala,
Mala, mala.
toro bambilla,
Omote, omote, omote.
toro mapio,
Ya, ya, yo voy.
Soro mapio. Soro mapio. Ega, sea la ega. 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 Oile que le mode. Oile que le mode. Oile que le mode. Ay, 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 como malote. Oile que le mode. Ay, 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 como malote. La mopille moro, ya lo debo pille. Ya lo debo pille. Ya lo debo pille. Ya lo debo pille.
Peace, peace. Good morning, and welcome all of you. Welcome everyone to Sun Salutation, Community, Enlightenment and Transformation, all that good stuff, right? I want to welcome those of you who are in the chat room, of course, those of you who have called in on Blog Talk Radio and YouTube and all the other places that everyone's going to spill in, as the segment progresses. Well, very similar to yesterday, I'm going to kind of just jump right into it. Yesterday we provided a space really where you all could share some of your thoughts and ideas in regards to how we negotiate and perceive our standards of beauty. And of course, we utilize the Tyrese Gibson, as I'm calling it, the manifesto, as a stimulator for the actual dialogue. So I want to get right into that. I'm going to start with a call, and then we'll go into some more of the dialogue. All right. So 905, you're on Community.
Sorry, Chief. Greetings and salutations to you.
Good morning.
I believe you know who this is.
I might. I don't know. Maybe. Why don't you introduce yourself, though?
This is Bello Marsh, Chief.
Oh, okay. All right. About 5 different names. Okay. Right. So we'll go with that one today.
And I think you also know perhaps what the call is regarding. It's a bit off topic. It's not necessarily addressing what your theme is, I think, for this morning or this dawning. But I just wanted to express something that occurred on Wednesday, which I think you're aware of. And started the chat room conversation. I basically reached out to 2 sisters in the chat, and not one of them responded to. They're not obligated to respond, but given the environment that we're in, I was hoping that somebody would have responded to at least one of the messages that I put out there. So, needless to say, I was very deeply hurt by that.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Pardon?
I have no clue as to what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, basically, like I said, I just reached out to 2 sisters. I left even my my email address in the chat for one sister, and then the other sister who offered the ladies to to assist and aid and work through the modules for the spiritual phase 1. I responded to her by just saying that basically I would hold her to it. And the reason why I responded that way was because I had not actually signed up to the phase 1. I was actually going to do that this week. So that's why I made the comment and stated the comment that way. And nobody responded. Nobody responded whatsoever. And so anyway, she responded to the other 2 ladies who also replied to her statement. And I was just a little bit thrown off as to what it is that I'm sending off energetically wise, and why I'm always having these experiences. So, yeah, I'm just putting that out there because... Are
you putting it out there? Are you sincerely... Hold on. Are you putting that out there, or are you asking a question?
Both.
Well, what exactly are you putting out there? What's the
Okay, all
energy
right.
in the
So I'm
statement that you're
asking a
putting
question
out?
then.
Okay. What's the
Yeah.
question?
The question is why nobody responded. Like I said, I know that they're not obligated. Is it an energy? Is it something that people are feeding, or something that I'm giving off that
So are
is
you
not resonating
asking,
with them?
hold on. Are you asking why no one
Yeah,
responded, or are you asking if you're putting out a certain energy?
both.
Well, because I have no clue as to what this is about, of course, I don't know why people did not respond to you. So obviously, you
Okay,
you should know that I can't answer that question. I don't
okay.
monitor the chat room when you
I
guys are
thought maybe.
talking back and forth. You thought
Okay.
maybe what?
No, I thought maybe you had seen it, but okay, that's fine.
No, because I'm busy doing the show. When I'm talking to you guys and teaching and
Okay,
doing all of that, that takes a lot of effort for me to do that. And then I also have one eye on the chat glancing over once in a while, but then I'm also monitoring Blog Talk and YouTube and making sure everything doesn't crash. I don't have time to get into the
okay,
actual conversations. So I have no clue as to
okay,
who you spoke to, I don't even know what you're talking about. Now, as far as what energy
okay.
you're putting out there, yeah, you do put out a funny energy. I don't know if that's why people didn't respond to you, but you 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 have a sense of entitlement that maybe sometimes people pick up on.
Oh,
You didn't know that?
a sense of entitlement. Okay.
Don't call
No,
here
I didn't.
asking. See, this is the problem. You calling here asking something, but see, you're not really calling here to ask something. You called here to whine. So don't call here and ask
Oh,
something, and
okay.
then when I start giving you the answer, you go, "Oh, okay. Oh, really? Me? Don't do that to me. Don't do that. If
I
you
don't.
sincerely
I
want
don't
an
think I
answer,
called to win.
I'm
That's
gonna
it.
give you an answer. If you don't want an answer, then we'll just let your statement stay out there.
Hmm.
But you have to decide which one you want. I'm not gonna pussyfoot around with you.
I don't want you to.
Well,
Okay.
then you shouldn't be making those little noises while I'm talking because it undermines my authority and it's disrespectful. You're not a member of the class. See, now you're gonna start. I'm gonna put you on mute. See, that's what they do.
Sorry. I'm.
No, no, no. It's okay. You deal with the child. Do what you need to do. But I know that game because all of a sudden now you got to make noise. When making that wasn't happening when you were talking, but when I talk now, all of a sudden, oh, I got to tend to my child. You're not a member of the class. I'm sure a lot of people recognize your voice, and I'm not going to go off. See, that was a diversion. See, that's a part of it, sucking up the energy. So we're talking about one thing today. We had a real high conversation yesterday. We're going in that direction today, and then you calling with something completely different, which is really just centered around what you want and what you need. No one called me back. How important is that? As a grown woman, that someone didn't call you back or whatever it is that you're talking about. Number one. Number two, you've been getting support and help from Anu for years now at this point, and you're not even a member of the class. So at this point, what space do you have to call in and say someone didn't do something for you when you've had so much already done for you? And then when you ask a question which wasn't actually a sincere and authentic question, and I start to tell you, well, this is the energy that you put out, then oh, really? You don't really want to hear it because you really just called here to whine. Because that has been your consistent pattern. You call here and whine a lot. That's what you do. So come on, man. I'm going to bring you in 1 second. Let's see if you say something that makes sense. And if you don't, then we just will move on. I brought you back in.
I actually called in. Just stop. Sorry. I called it. That's way too much. Sorry about this, everybody. I called in because I was feeling hurt, and I was trying to understand why I wasn't receiving the response that I was hoping for. I didn't call in to whine. I am calling based on our previous conversation, Chief, you explained to me the various options that I could have taken in addressing the incident, an incident that occurred. Okay, I reflected on that.
So then that means
And I said,
actually
okay,
there's no point. There's no point in asking me a question. Because if you ask me a question and I give you the answer, and then you don't like the answer, so you feel now you need to correct me, then there's no point in asking me the question.
I'm not trying to correct you.
You just corrected me if I said, why are you making all these noises? Stop acting like you being victimized. That's the annoying part. Nobody's victimizing you right now. You're the one actually being abusive. Right now, you're being abusive. You called in. We're on one subject. You diverted into talking about yourself. I'm allowing that. I'm giving you that space and time. Still not a student of our new spiritual training, but I'm still giving you that time and energy. And while I'm talking, you're in there cutting in and making little noises. And, oh, really? No, Chief. So you're actually abusing my time, energy, and authority right now. But I know that
that is not my intent.
But you're doing
so sorry
it.
About that.
It is clearly your intent, because if I'm pointing it out and you're not listening to me pointing it out, then that is your intent, because you don't want to accept it. So if I say, yeah, you called in to whine about what happened. No, I didn't. Then why are you asking me then? You don't want my answer. But interesting enough, you keep finding yourself in this situation. So clearly you don't have the answer to get yourself out the situation, but someone who's not in that situation is looking and telling you this is what it is. You don't want to hear it. You're grown behind women with children, and you hurt because somebody didn't call you back. Come on. You consistently.
No, that's not. Oh.
Why are you making those noises like you're not understood? That's rude. Why are you being so rude? When you were explaining what happened, was I going, really? Was I doing that to you when you were talking?
No, you weren't.
So why would you do that to me?
Yeah, I do apologize. Yep.
You know, you're not sorry, because you keep apologizing and you do it again. Anytime you hear something that you don't want to hear, you start throwing your little small tantrum on the side there. And again, I'm going to reiterate again, and not a member of our new spiritual training. But you've been getting all of this extra support all this time. That doesn't strike you as anything that doesn't run anything through your head. You're even calling in right now getting extra support, because we're not even talking about this today. You consistently and aggressively play the victim role. You've been doing that since your first call into the station. You're always the victim. And then now you ask, is this something that I'm putting off? Yeah. And then I tell you, and you immediately, no, I'm not doing that. And then you start making all these noises like you're so misunderstood. Like you're so complex, Georgette. You're so complex that no one can understand you.
Now, why you have to go call me out like that?
Yeah, because you need to be called out like that. Yeah. You need to be, because you know what? I'm giving you all this effort and energy and time, and then people are listening probably like, why is he ganging up on this woman? And they need to understand that there's a history here. And everybody recognizes your voice anyway, because they're already saying your name in the chat room. They know it's you. Except they called you Georgina. Mm-hmm. And I don't want them to confuse you for Georgina. You're Georgette. Georgina's another one who does the victim thing. Must be something about that George name.
Must be.
Yeah. See, now you're going to cry. And, you know, that's what I'm saying. No, you need to just stop with this, man. Just stop.
I'm not crying. I'm not.
You get a lot of extra. Have you gotten a lot of? No, listen. Have you gotten a lot of help from Manu?
I have, and this is okay. Yep, I have. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you're not a member of anything, right? Like you said, I was going to take the paid class. You've been around since the very first Chief Speaks. I think you called in on the first Chief Speaks back on Yusuf L's network.
The very first.
I swear
Okay.
you were either on the first show
No,
or the
I
second
wasn't
show.
on the. No, I wasn't. Chief.
Okay, I hear you.
But okay.
I know, but it's okay. All right. Stop playing the victim role. It's annoying. And it's annoying as you get older. It's annoying to see that in a grown woman. You get all this extra help, and you like to suck and drain the energy out of everybody by playing this perpetual victim. And then when someone tells you to stop playing the victim, why are you making noises again? Why are you doing that?
Sorry, I'm running around because, as you can imagine, it's morning time and these guys have to be.
I hear you.
Okay, sorry.
So you play the perpetual victim role, and then when people get tired of that and they point it out to you, then you get upset, like you did on the women's call that time, and hung up on everybody and got mad. You guys don't even want me here. You notice your narrative is always somebody doesn't want you somewhere, somebody doesn't like you. You ever notice that that's a repeated narrative with you? Because you've shared that with me as well.
I didn't say that in the woman's call, by the way.
I hear you. Did you say that to me before?
So, yeah, not on the woman's call.
Did you say that? Let's try this again. Let's try it again.
Say...
Did you say that? Am I on the woman's call? Am I a woman? Did you say that to me before? No, but who knows what was conversed to you? Obviously, something was conversed to you. Did you say that? It's a yes or no question. Did requires yes or no. Not all the other talk. Did I say that to you? If I say did, stop talking. Don't talk over me. Don't talk over me. Stop it. That's the problem. If I say did or I say do, you just answer yes or no. Don't give me a story. Did you say that to me previously?
Yes, during
That's it. Stop. All right, let me mute you. That's your problem right there. You need a man to deal with you. Your husband ain't dealing with you properly. That's the problem right there. And I don't care how offended you get. I put her on mute. We're going to move on because you're too self-centered. That's the problem. Everything always has to come back to you. You call first call of the show, and you immediately talking about yourself. And honestly, a stupid high school situation. They didn't call me back. Why the hell are you bothering me with that stupidness? Now I'm going to give it to you for real. Why would you bother me with something so trite and stupid? They didn't call me back. What are you, 11 years old? Well, reach back out to them and ask them, hey, what's going on, guys? Not to mention the fact that you're not even a member of the goddamn class. And you've been getting all this help for all these years. And then you call in and you disrespect me. I'm giving you the answer and you sitting here talking over, oh, wow, really? You don't know sugar, honey, iced tea. That's why you've been calling in all these years with the same goddamn problem. And you won't listen to one damn answer. And every time the answer is given to you, you come back with the same foolishness, sucking up all the goddamn air out of the room. No, man, get out of here with that fool. I'm telling you, y'all ain't going to keep doing this. Stop it. You were giving your answer. You're too freaking self-centered and immature. That's your problem. And you play the perpetual victim because you don't know how to get real energy from a person. The only way you know how to get energy is to be a victim. You don't know how to get energy from a person by an equal exchange because you don't give. You didn't even join the mother effing class. But you've gotten numerous hours of support from Anu. Not to mention the fact I had to check you before about sending messages to my private WhatsApp. Oh, Chief, it's an emergency. You just sent an email recently into the customer service box doing the same goddamn thing. Chief, I need Chief to contact me immediately. It's an emergency. You're not even in Anu. But you're getting all of this extra help. Stop being a mother effing distraction. Stop it. Come on, we're doing something else. That's the problem right there. That's the agent. Now, if you just come in here to constantly serve your little petty goddamn needs, go somewhere else with that. Because every time you call into this show, you do the same thing. Oh, I don't know. I know we're talking about this, but I want to talk about this. Something small. We're not talking about small SHIT here. We're talking about big stuff. And the fact that you've been shown that much grace and time, it's called grace. No one's entitled to have to give you anything. It's grace. And you can't respect it enough to shut your mother effing mouth when you're getting some guidance. You sitting there making all those goddamn noises like you're a priest, like you're a sage, like you got some goddamn wisdom. Well, if you got so much goddamn wisdom, why can't you figure out the simplest things like somebody didn't call me back, what should I do? You call here to whine first thing in the goddamn morning. Get out of here with that BS, man. Come on, man. I'm not doing that with y'all anymore. So all of you people who are calling in with that stuff, stop. And I even gave you time. I spoke to you, said I'm going to come back and pick up the phone. Now, I bet you would love if I picked it up again so you could sit here and cry on the air and say, ooh, oh, Chief, let me have it. No, I didn't let you have it. I gave you your goddamn answer. You keep playing around. And you're going to stay stuck. You're going to be 65 years old still calling into people's shows with stupid SHIT. Please, man, get out of here with that. And if you don't like what I'm saying, go find another well to feed off of. Go find another feeding source. I don't give a SHIT. I need me a mother effing mute button so I can talk how I really talk. Sick of that, man. Come on, man. We're moving in a certain direction. We're over here. We're talking about beauty standards. That's what we're talking about. I said we're going to continue this same conversation today. You were on the call yesterday. And the little demon inside of you, the demon that can never be satisfied because it's got a big stomach and a little mouth and little hands, has to say, oh, hell no. They're about to reach a certain plateau. Everyone's getting excited. Everyone's feeding and getting some food off of this conversation and elevating. Let me take it to this real negative, stupid ass, excuse my language, self-centered place. Come on, man. Get the F out of here with that. I've been nice enough. You're not even in my mother effing class, and I've been giving you all this time and energy, extra time on the phone. You've been on the women's call acting a damn fool. Yeah, the reports got back to me about you. On the women's call acting a damn fool. Having people talking to 2 o'clock in the morning, listening to your stupid your BS. And everybody's still giving you energy. And you'll give your little fake ASS thank you in the beginning call. I just want to thank you for all the help you're giving. But, and then you take your arm and sweep all the food off the mother effing table. Come on, man. Beat it. Now you sit your ass there and listen to the mother effing show, or go to somebody else's weak ass network who's going to sit there and feed that victim spirit in you and milk you for all your mother effing money. Come on, man. It's too early for this nonsense, man. It's early in the dawning. My growth hormones are pumping. Come on, man. I'm in wolf mode early in the dawning. I don't have anything in my stomach. Come on. Don't start with me this early. Now, you know what? We're going to reinvigorate the topic that we're talking about. We're going to reinvigorate the topic. We're not going to, and don't call me with nothing on the side, man. I don't want to hear none of your side conversations today. We do that another time. We're talking about beauty standards this dawning. That's what we're talking about. And it was my mistake for even going that way. But see, that's the weak part of me, that kind part. Oh, you got a problem? What's wrong? I should be smarter than that by now. I should have known where the hell that was going to go. But anyway, and excuse my language, man. And if anybody thinks I'm turned up, I'm not. If anybody thinks I'm upset, I'm not. I'm speaking in a language to make things clear, because obviously when I'm speaking in another tone, in another language, it's not getting through. So sometimes you have to change the language so people can understand where you're at. But I'm not upset. If I was upset, I would end this show. One thing about me, the more upset I am, the quieter I get. And for everybody telling me to move on in the chat room, shut the F up. I know what I'm doing. This is my goddamn show. I'm not rambling. I'm saying what needs to be said. You need to hear this, because a lot of you are vampires. And you come in with that vampirical energy, and I don't say anything because I'm a slick dude. I know how to stay quiet in the background. But y'all need to hear this. I'm orchestrating this. I got this. Now, on to the topic. We were talking about Tyrese Gibson and his manifesto. Another good example. See, you try to correct someone's behavior, they flip out. So he was speaking about some corrective measures that women need to take, or women could take, or suggesting them in terms of how they present themselves. And he got this strong and huge backlash. Now, do we really need to talk about why? Do we really need to do that? Is there any secret why, or secret that certain women cannot be corrected? You just saw it. That's what we're talking about. I'm not going to read the manifesto again. That was in yesterday's segment, but nonetheless, there was a lot of comments that everyone had presented. Yeah, she hung up good. She thought I was going to bring her back. She thought after all that I was going to bring her back on the call. So, come on, man. Y'all got to get it together. And if y'all don't get it together, y'all going to get torn up, man. Because, think about a survival situation. And I spoke about that the other day. Who do you think is going to be able to survive? Who you think we're going to drag along during the survival situation? I'll give you an idea. No one. And for those of us who are already survival minded and understand that we are in those last times in terms of our comfort and our relaxation, some of that stuff we're not going to be able to bring along with us, man. Some of that stuff has to be cleaned up. It has to be cleaned up. Nonsense, man. Fuck. Excuse me. Effery. But anyway, so we were speaking about the beauty standards. The beauty standards. That was the key. And that's what we were talking about. And in the sense that with Tyrese Gibson, he was saying that, one of the things that I noticed about the whole situation is that yeah, okay, whatever. One of the things that talking about the situation is that when a lot of the comments came in, or the backlash came in, one of the things that I personally noticed is that there wasn't a lot of talk behind what stimulated him saying what he said, right? There wasn't a lot of conversation about what stimulated that, okay? So if anyone knows a little bit about the background of the actual, I guess, statement, because everyone's calling it like a rant, a social media rant. People were saying that Tyrese was outraged, and he left all of this stuff on social media in terms of the guidance that he was given, or the guidance that he was giving in terms of ways that maybe women could carry themselves. And it's kind of interesting when you look at it, because a lot of times, if a black man, let's just say what it is, expresses what needs to be expressed to his people and further, because again, I would reiterate that he made it clear that this is to all women. He said that in his statement, to all women. But again, as a black man, we're not really allowed to speak. We're allowed to make people feel good, and we're allowed to dance and entertain you, but we're not necessarily allowed to deliver any critical commentary that's actually going to shake anything up, right? So one of the things that I found interesting is that, the different tones that were put on exactly what he said. The different tones that were imposed upon, Tyrese goes off on an angry rant. Tyrese Gibson is outraged. And of course, obviously, some of that is clickbait. That it's worded a certain way so that people can come in and respond in a certain way. But here's the thing. When you look at it, and you kind of do a little bit of the research on it, you find out that the reason he actually made the post is because he was out somewhere. I believe he was dining, and he had overheard some women speaking about how dumb men were, or how stupid men were, and essentially they were saying, they were speaking about how they present themselves again with the manufactured quote unquote beauty, if you want to call that, if it's beautiful, if it's beautiful to you, and they were talking about how men are so stupid they can't even tell the difference. So that's why if you look at the actual post, he starts off by saying, ladies, let me say this to you, men are not stupid. And then he went on to explain the actual things that men notice, you see. But what I found very interesting again with that is that they didn't really highlight that part. When they spoke about Tyrese going off in a rage, or, Tyrese going berserk. And a lot of times that's a tool and a method to, again, villainize black men. I'm going to call it as it is. And I know we're talking primarily about women and the energy of women and the presentation of women, but that sense of villainization is real. You see that across the board in so many different situations, where, again, it's very similar to neo-racism, where you put us in a certain position and you invigorate certain things inside of us, and then when we respond, you call us animals for our response. So you're telling the victim how they're supposed to respond to their brutalization, and if they don't respond in a way that conforms with your comfortable standards to how you want them to respond, then you call them a monster and an animal. And of course, that's all a part of the racism as well. You see. 813, you're on.
Greetings, Chief.
Good dawning, brother.
Good dawning.
Hey,
How
Carl.
you doing?
I'm doing good.
See, just to add on, I'm doing well. I'm glad you're doing well, Chief.
Good.
Hopefully the family's good, everybody.
Yeah, everybody's strong.
Well, just to add on to the Tyrese, with the situation you're talking about. I follow Tyrese. I was following Tyrese for a while. And I don't know why I stopped. I don't know if it's just Facebook doing one of those things, but Tyrese used to give out a lot of advice, a lot of wealth advice, a lot of personal advice all the time. So just kind of put the background. It wasn't just him talking about women all the time on that situation. It was just that one that comment that he put out that gave him all that backlash. And the comment's true for me. And I'm going to speak for myself, is that, and I was talking to Sister on the chat room, Divine Mind, Divine Body, Divine Mind, I think that's what it was. And I told her, I said, I like a woman that's ready to move. If it takes you 2-3 hours to get your hair done or your nails done or something before we get out the house, we postponed the experience that we were supposed to have for about 2 hours, or at least an hour and 30 minutes. So a lot of that stuff, when it comes down to, for me, dealing with women, dealing with hair weaves and all that other stuff, it's really distraction. Even with the conversation, like we're having conversations and you're painted, your eyebrows are done, you look like a clown. So it's hard for me to get into a deep conversation, or even not even. I'm not saying a metaphysical conversation, but a very intellectual conversation with somebody that looks like a clown in front of me. So, I just wanted to tap in on that. I just wanted to put that background on Tyrese too, because it's not just about him talking about the woman too. Now he was giving some good jewels. I'm not saying I agree completely with everything he said, but he was giving good advice, and that's the reason why he had so much backlash. People were listening to him for certain advice.
Right.
So I just want to put that one out in there too, Chief. And good dawning, Hikaru, like I said, greetings to all the Nubians all over the place.
For sure. Give thanks, brother. I appreciate that. I think that's a very, very, very good point that you actually bring up. The fact that, he's been speaking, and you're right, because I actually saw some of his videos on YouTube when he did the book. I think it might have been that book, Manology. And he just gave little excerpts of the book, and he started talking about his travels and his experience with Will Smith, and how Will has been like a mentor to him and this and that. So as far as like the self-help information, we'll say he's been on that for a minute, but again, that doesn't get in the way of the system. When you start speaking about things that dismantle the grip and the hole and the mechanisms of a system that keeps people disempowered and raceless and culturalist, then now you're messing with the money, you're messing with the legacy. So yeah, that's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up. The fact that this is not new for him per se, in terms of teaching on some level. Yeah. Thank you.
Always trying to contribute, Chief. Always trying to contribute. Thank you.
I know. All right, brother. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, So yeah, again, that's another good, Anwar gave us that good background. Again, that sometimes the background is not taken into account, or really, you can do all of that self. It kind of gives you a sense of what's effective sometimes and what's not effective. Because, like I said, when I do a segment, and I know this segment is going to get thumbs down, but who cares? If I do a segment, I get a thumbs down. I know that was a good one. I'm not telling anybody to go thumbs down the segment. We do whatever you feel like doing. Somebody feel like, why you gotta talk to the sister like that? Why he gotta go up on the sister? He need to have more self-control than that. You might try to do that thing, but go ahead. Excuse me. But so the fact is, sometimes when you start really speaking that truth and you speak it in a way where it's forceful. See, he didn't get on there and say, hey ladies, I got a suggestion, something you might want to think about. Sometimes you lay it on a little bit too thick and it's a little over the top, and then. He didn't come with his hat in his hand and scratching the side out of his head and shuffling his feet back and forth and scratching his butt and trying to present it that way. He came strong. He said, look, man, we're not stupid. This is what it is. This is what you're doing. So of course, as a black man in this society, we're quote unquote, we're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to be strong. If we're strong, we're monsters. You see. And that, to me, because it wasn't so much about, like I said yesterday, I had mixed reactions, because when I read what he said, I said, okay, I agree with everything. But, I'm agreeing with it from a man's perspective. From a man's perspective, I don't like looking at all that stuff. Like I said, the weaves and this and that. And, I don't like personally how it looks. I don't like how it smells. I don't like how it feels. And partly because my aesthetic that I do enjoy has been so deeply ingrained in me. The natural aesthetic has been deeply ingrained in me from childhood, because of images that I kept around me, that were kept around me. I'm not gonna act like I did it. That were kept around me because of the type of music that I listened to, maybe even the era that I grew up in. There's a certain aesthetic, and of course, my mother. Let's keep it real, my mother. Looking at my own maternal figure, and my mother's a very beautiful woman. Even if she wasn't my mom, she's one of them. Those older women that, those Essence magazine, older women that you see with the head of gray, but they just gorgeous. You would wife up. She's one of them, But so seeing that aesthetic, obviously it has an effect. So I've never actually been particularly attracted to things that didn't look the same way in the dawning. So, of course, as a man, I looked at it from an aesthetic perspective, but then I had to, like I said, I had mixed feelings, because I looked at it then, okay, well, now, how would the women take something like this? Was it really appropriate for him to say it? Was it appropriate for him to say it like that? And, kind of going through that. And again, I don't agree or disagree, anything like that. The whole thing was about providing a space for other people to share what it is that they need to say, or how they may feel about it, you know. And I read some of the comments yesterday, and like, you know, some were saying, well, how you present yourself is a reflection of what's going on internally. I would agree with that. And then others were saying, well, sometimes we wear the weaves and stuff just for convenience because we like our hair long one day, we like it short one day. You know, I've heard that one a lot as well. And again, as a man, what am I going to say? You don't need to have your hair long or short. Wear it the way it is, the way God intended. You know, like I don't really have the authority to be able to step in the same way and do that make that type of statement. And that's why on some levels I kind of question Tyrese, but then at the same time I said, you know what, he's a sex symbol. And of course, a lot of the women who were ranting and raving against what he said would love to sleep with him, you know. So I think it's powerful when those who are desired let women or men know, hey, you know, you may be thinking this is what the man of your quote unquote dreams desires, but this is really actually what we want. And I think Idris Elba did similar, which I thought was cool when he made a similar statement and was like, I like women who are natural. You know, DMX says something like that too, but you know, he's not a sex symbol anymore. So ain't nobody really running behind after DMX like that. But you know, so I thought it was powerful in that sense, man. But you know, again, this liberation movement is about men, women, and children being freed up, not just the men. So we have to know how to communicate what we need to say to everybody. All right, Sister Michelle, you're on and popping.
Peace,
Peace,
everybody.
How's the family?
Greetings. Oh, they're great. We're doing our dawning thing.
All right.
Listening to you, everybody's, you know, enjoying the conversation.
Good.
But I wanted to share a little bit because I was thinking about this yesterday. Mm-hmm. And I think besides yesterday, I commented on the fact that, you know, that could have been better said from an elder woman. Maybe it would have been received better, or the sister would have thought of, or the sisters would think about it better. But another thing is that if an elder woman right now says the same thing, which that I've heard also from elder women, the women don't listen. So there's a sickness among women that there is no more sisterhood now. Those bonds have been broken, and we see each other as competition. And if someone is giving good advice, the younger woman will see it as that the older woman is hating, or she's jealous, or a whole bunch of other things. Okay. So I feel like this generation of women don't really see elder women counsel as important, or even as something that they should consider. So it's a lot going on for women. And it's just a sad state of affairs that we're in.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I mean, it's like there's an insanity there. You know, that's how I kind of look at it. You know, it's because sometimes you look at some of the fashions, especially some of the things that he was speaking about. And of course, thank you for that, Sister Michelle. Thank you for those statements. It's like an insanity because if you look at some of the fashions or some of the procedures, it's like you would have to be insane to do that. Some of it is very painful, you know, even perming to a degree. You know what I mean? You're burning yourself, and you know you're burning yourself. You know you're going to go bald. What would make you want to do that? You know, again, and I'm not trying to encroach upon women's land or you know, how a woman derives her beauty. I'm not trying to disrespect or try to usurp that position. You know, I'm just putting the questions out there. 561, you're on the air.
Hey, Chief, how are you? It's Maria.
I'm doing well, Maria. How's everything with you?
Good. Michelle took the words right out of my mouth. That was exactly what I was going to say, is women don't listen. So it is unfortunate, you know, that when a comment is made like that, you know, the backlash that comes from it, instead of just taking a look at it objectively, because I've tried to tell other women in my community, and it's just like, just not even the beauty topics, but just any topics that, they're struggling, kind of creating that sisterhood. And it's just completely dismissed or, like you said, I agree. It's like sometimes you need to get harsh for women to actually listen.
Right.
I don't know, you change the tone or the frequency and then the message gets through. But moreover, it's, what a lot of people don't realize too is like the toxicity of everything that they're doing to their body, especially, us women. It's like the makeup, the creams, the lotions, the hair dyes, like you said, the perming. And I know it's really common for women to like wear, those like shape formers. They go around the waist, and those are really, really, really unhealthy. And like you said, they don't care. Like you're just doing it, and it is distorting you and messing you up. And I think from doing all of that, your mind can't think straight, and then we're actually altering what we think beauty is. And you can see, like, on videos, on YouTube, like, all these Asian women that they're changing the way that they're doing their makeup so they can look more, Anglo. And it's like, it just is, I think it's the media, it's us as women, what we're choosing to believe and choosing to follow, and then, all the toxicity that comes from it. And it's just like this cycle that we need to break.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now let me ask you this, because speaking about the shape formers and stuff like that now, because it's so interesting. It's like it's almost like phones. It's like technology for me as a man. I don't know if other men experience this too, because some of that stuff, it's like we catch up to it late. There's so much. So like the whole thing Tyrese overheard when the women were like, "Oh, guys are so stupid." Like, on some levels, we are ignorant to a lot of the new technology. They have those underwear now with the butt lifts and all of that stuff like that. And it takes a while to catch on. But, I wanted to ask this question because, again, there was a huge backlash from Black American women. But you and Michelle, as being Latina sisters, what in terms of, because and obviously I can't, not telling you, but in Latina culture, aesthetic is a key thing. It's critical. And most of the times when I spot the first times I've ever even witnessed the the padded underwear and those things they put, I guess the shape formers around the stomach and stuff, it was amongst Latina sisters, and it seems like on some levels, I guess they're like the quiet sufferers to some degree. I think on some levels, to me, it seems like they go through some of the more brutal procedures. And the reason why I say that is because I've seen like 40, 50-year-old women, Latina sisters, I'm speaking specifically, with some of that stuff on, almost like they're not allowed to get older. Like it's not, and I'm just asking. I'm wondering, have you noticed, or is it inherent in the actual culture?
Yeah, it's almost divided in a black and white two ways. It is either you are, overweight and you're not really doing anything to change your diet, the things that you can do like exercising, changing your diet. So then you rather go get the liposuction, the cold sculpting. I mean, I have to agree that Spanish women are very, active in this sect of, doing all of these procedures, so I totally agree. And it goes on to 50, 60 years old, I mean, I know growing up, I saw all of my aunts and, cousins and everything with, God, what's like, I'm drawing a blank the word, and it, just something to wrap their stomach with so that when you put a T-shirt on, you don't have a roll, instead of, not eating too much or working out to fix it. It's just like, no, this is what you do. You eat what you want, and then you hide this,
Right.
And then the other part of it where, I just see it very, I don't know, at least from my perspective, then you just see it as women who don't care. They're heavily overweight, and they've just like thrown in the towel because it is almost like such a hard concept to be like, okay, either I need to be wearing heels and makeup and have a small waist and a, large butt, or I can't be anything in between, so I'm going to be this, odd shaped, heavier woman. And it's, I think it's a real struggle, at least, amongst the Spanish community.
Yeah, I agree. And I just wanted to highlight, it was good that you guys called, that I had you, because I wanted to highlight it's a different thing, because it may not be so much about the weaves, or maybe, well, I can't even say the bleaching, because definitely you see the bleaching heavy out here in New York.
Bleach.
Yeah, they do bleach, so I can't even say that so much. But I think there's a different level of it, So like I said, different perspective in that sense. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for that input.
Yeah. I think it just blends a little better because it's, if you're Spanish and you have a little bit fairer skin, you are dyeing your hair blonde,
unexpected.
Many people may think that's your hair color.
Right.
Or if you have hazel contacts, they may think it just may appear a little bit more natural, but it's, far from what they naturally look like.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah. Give thanks. Strong Mind, Strong Body Fitness says something in the chat room similar to what I said yesterday. I'm not going to read everything. Well, I'll read some. Let me see if I can find one of the statements. Okay. I know for me, I really can't listen seriously to someone that makes a statement such as that, but does the opposite in their own reality, music videos, and make choice. That's kind of a little bit of what I said yesterday, in that sense that, and not saying that he should have done it, he should have said it like this, should have said it like that, but I was just saying that it may have been more effective if he maybe, kind of like if you look at Wale has a song, Black Gold, where he has all of these different shades of women in a video, in a bed. It looks like an orgy, actually. But, but at least there's that aspect where he's visually showing you what he also considers to be beautiful as well. So I think that was also, I agree to some degree as well. Strong Mind, Strong Body Fitness. I'm not going to keep saying that whole thing every time I reference one of your comments. I'm going to say Deanna, all right, because I know your name. But I'm messing with you. But Deanna. So, but anyway, I think that was an aspect of it as well. Maybe there was a little bit of imbalance there. But you know what? Sometimes some people don't realize, because again, like I said, we live in a country where it's, as men in general, and we're getting ready to go on the archives, everyone, and in a couple of seconds. So just, if you're not called in 515-605-9862. And if not, you can listen and talk and everything through YouTube. All right.
90 seconds.
90 seconds. But we live in a society now where men in general, across the board, and I'm talking about white, black, Asian, Arab, Indian, we can't talk. And in particular, when I say we can't talk, we're not allowed to express our feelings. We grow up in a culture where that's discouraged on many different levels, and I said that before. 60 seconds is coming. 60 seconds. Oh, I timed that one nice. But we're growing up, and normally you wouldn't hear all of that blog talk radio stuff, but it's because of the way I got the audio pumping through YouTube and stuff. You're gonna hear it, so please excuse that. I know it's Deanna. I know who it is. I know the name of your company. She's a personal trainer. Anyway, so a lot of times we're afraid, or we're not afraid, we're discouraged, from really expressing our discontent. And then there comes times where it blows up because it's bubbling underneath the surface. A lot of times we're not encouraged to say how we really feel about it. 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
Oh, I lost that one. We're not really able to say what we feel about our jobs, or having to work in the way that we do, or about our supervisors, or just about the system as a whole, or government as a whole, so forth and so on. Because if men actually really did that, they would truly make a change. So that's discouraged. We have to pretend like we're okay with everything. So even sometimes a woman may present herself to you in a way that's over the top, and immediately we have that mechanism inside of us where don't say anything. You can't say anything, because you're not really allowed to express what it is that you feel. So on some levels, I think also maybe there was an element of ranting in his statement where it's like, you know what, I'm sick of this. Enough is enough, and now y'all calling us stupid. Like, I've been sitting here pretending that I don't see all of this. Like he said, I see your glue tracks and all of that. We sit here, and I do it too. We pretend like we don't see it. But now, on top of that, you're going to say that we're stupid? That's why we do see it. And that's kind of what the rant was in some senses. Also, keep in mind that Tyrese Gibson himself has a very indigenous look. So he's a singer. So, because some people, I saw some comments and people were like, oh, because Tyrese is so black and crispy when he was young, women probably didn't give him play until he got money. No, if you can sing, it doesn't matter what you look like. All right. Now, obviously, women see him as a sex symbol. He's for how he looks, he's in shape and everything like that. But even if he wasn't, trust me, Luther Vandross was a sex symbol. Barry White was a sex symbol. Biggie Smalls was a sex symbol. If you can get on that mic, you could sing or you could rhyme or you got some charisma, you're gonna get women. So I don't necessarily comply with that argument. And plus, Tyrese grew up in the era of Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes brought black back. Before that it was ruled by Christopher Williams, Albie Shores, but he brought that whole aesthetic back. Tyrese Gibson. Not Tyrese, I'm sorry. Tyson Beckford. They brought that whole look back, man. So I don't really agree with that argument. Of course, only Tyrese would be able to tell the truth on that, whether he was getting the girls that he wants or whatever when he was young. But yeah, man. So I think a lot of times, someone has said this earlier in the chat, and I'm gonna pose that to you, Deanna. And I'm not trying to start any mess, but I'm gonna pose it because we got a little fire in us already. Shasta said earlier, women can always find excuses and justifications not to listen or do things we have no business doing. And I'm gonna pose that to you, Deanna, when you said it's hard for me to listen to someone or take them seriously who makes a statement like that, but does the opposite in their own reality. And in Deanna, you also said something after that. To me, it's like an obese doctor stating you should exercise and eat healthier. Like, really? LOL, okay, you're the one to talk. So is that an excuse not to do what you're supposed to do? Possibly. And I'm not saying it is, it isn't. I'm going light on this show. I'm letting everyone kind of say where they're at. But regardless of what, if he's married to someone, he's married to a woman who's black. She may not be black enough for some people, but she's black. She's got kinky hair. It's curly, but it's still kinky. But would that make a difference? Does it really matter? If it's truth, it's truth. Why does it have to be packaged by a certain person in a certain way for us to take it serious? And again, I'm posing that as a serious question. I'm not saying you're wrong for saying what you said, Deanna, or you're wrong for saying what you said, Shasa. I'm putting it out there. If you look at certain films and stuff that people got super excited about, let's look at the film Get Out. All the breakdowns that were done on Get Out, right? Well, you're looking at someone who's biracial and who's married to a white woman, which some people criticize it, and I think that's one of the stupidest things to do. It's very similar to me when people criticized Bob Marley for being with Cindy Breakspear. Now, everybody loves Damian Marley. They love the product, but Bob Marley's father is white. So why couldn't he be attracted to his own? Just like Halle Berry is half white. So if she gets with a white man, I remember, brothers kind of, why she got to get with the white guy? Well, she's half white. That's a part of her heritage too. So there's no reason why she can't have an attraction towards that. And I'm not saying that someone who doesn't have a white parent can't be attracted to someone of another race, but I think it's even more ridiculous to put that on someone who is of mixed heritage. They can like whoever they like in that sense. I mean, if you understand what I'm saying, or they shouldn't be condemned for liking something that represents one side of the spectrum, of their personal spectrum. Madam Ma'at asks a good question. Where does the need for the flamboyant appearance come from? It comes from us centering our life around entertainment and media. There is a place and a time for the flamboyant appearance. It's called the strip club. So it's called pornos, where you'll want to see things that are over the top. In that sense, we live in a world of materialism where we can never get enough. That's why it's one of the most dangerous things to mate with someone. Let me be honest, from like the New York area, because up here we're all about getting more, getting the next thing. I gotta have more. So that's why a lot of times we do so poorly at marriage up here. Different even than the South. Not to say that people don't, divorce in the South, but here, as soon as we get with someone, we want to see who we can get that's better. Give me something better, So it's the same thing, even in terms of the body presentation. It's what can I get more? What can I get better? What can I get more? As opposed to learning to cultivate and enjoy what is that's presented. I saw a hand go up on the blog talk call. Feel free to put it back up. I saw it out of the corner of my eye. Unless blog talk dropped you. I don't know. So Deanna responded and said, "No, Chief, the information or statement given is correct, but that could be the reason for the black backlash. That's all." That's not all. That's not what you just said. Don't try to change it. You didn't just say that. "No, Chief, the information or statement given is correct, but that could be the reason for the backlash." No. That's not what you said earlier. Now you backpedaling. You said, "I know for me, I really can't listen seriously to someone that makes a statement such as that, but does the opposite in their own reality, music videos, and mate choice." Now you saying, "No, Chief, the information statement given is correct, but that could be the reason for the backlash. That's all." Come on, knock it off. Stop trying to backpedal. You know what you said. Come on, it's right there in black and white. You said, "For me." See what I'm saying? Come on, grow some ovaries, Deanna. If you feel that way, put it out there. Let them ovaries hang. So, what I'm saying again is, to me, the statement wasn't incorrect per se. It's just how is it presented, and yeah, that over the top look that comes from media. In all honesty, and sometimes we even look at that in terms of one another. Men get caught up in that cycle as well too. I gotta have a 6-pack. I gotta have 4 bank accounts. I gotta be driving a foreign car. I have to be this great lover. I have to have a 18-inch penis. All of these different things that we throw into the mix based on what media presents to us that may not really align with reality. And like right now they have these surgeries that I think are more accessible. I saw an advertisement for it where it was you can increase the girth of your penis, where they take fat from another part of your body and they put it on the penis. Now come on, because that's a little bit more of Deanna, you're funny. Because that's a little bit more of a private, or it could be a private surgery. I guarantee you, there's a lot of males that'll get that surgery. And will just not be honest about it. Nah, I didn't get that. I've always been this wide. I've always had a stout penis that looks like a beer can. Always. You see? So I think sometimes too we put the emphasis on the feminine expectation and we forget about the male expectation as well. And there is a serious expectation as to what men are supposed to present. And a lot of times that's just unrealistic. We've lost sight of the reality of what life is. Like I said yesterday, we typically things are ripe when they're soft. You want a plum or a peach when it's hard or when it's soft. You see? But we have this ideation that things have to stay hard forever or stand up forever, and not realizing that that's a part of the growth cycle. And just so you understand, this conversation is not just about Tyrese Gibson that we're having. It goes back to what I was speaking about, how we align ourselves with nature. And if we look at the universe as an entire body organism, and respect the flow, the ebb and flow of that entire body organism, then we align ourselves with the evolutionary forces. But to do otherwise, which is really sacrilege, but to do otherwise, we actually start to get into this wicked space where the environment begins to work against us. You see? So just so you can maybe imagine or picture the larger context, I'm not just speaking about physical beauty standards here in this segment. I'm speaking about how we don't respect the natural, some of us do not respect the natural progress and movement of the body. And as a result, the body begins to act against us. I'm going to read a comment again. Michelle says, to me, it's a shot to our power. Absolutely. I agree. In a sisterhood, we draw our power separated and with low we draw our power in a sisterhood. Separated and with low self-esteem, we can't create anything healthy in this world. It allows us to be easily manipulated. Oh man, that is to me, that's the mantra for the show. I'm gonna read it again. What she said was so key. To me, it's a shot to our power. In a sisterhood, we draw our power. In a sisterhood. Separated and with low self-esteem, we can't create anything healthy in this world. It also allows us to be manipulated. Absolutely. I've said that so many times. Women a lot of times never get an opportunity to truly see what their power is, because in this society it's not really appreciated or in the Anglosphere, I should say, it's not really appreciated. So they think that in order to have strength or in order to have power, they have to emulate the male aesthetic. And like Shaga Guru just said, and so I call by going against nature, we harden like a man. Right? So the power is in the sisterhood, because the sisterhood is where you get your confirmation and validation. I expressed that on the show a while ago. I don't remember the name of the show, but I think I kind of said it on the side where I was speaking about even cooking. Amongst the sisterhood, you can joke about not being a good cook. Oh, no, you can't make the cabbage. Your cabbage always sucks. Let so-and-so make the cabbage, or this and that and that. But we don't really invest in that. And the same thing in the brotherhood. A brotherhood keeps you from going insane. I'm going to tell you straight up, just like that. Brotherhoods keep you from going insane. It's critical to your manhood to be a part of a brotherhood of some sort. I don't care if it's just guys you go and meet with every Saturday and play basketball. It could be something that simple, but it will keep you from going crazy, because some of the things that we deal with in this society, especially as those of us who have drops of indigenous blood in us. So I'm not even saying full all out melanoid, Tyrese, ebony, black, mahogany statue looking brothers. I'm talking about the J. Coles too. We live in a society where there's so much subversive action that's happening, dialogue, so much subversive conversation and initiative that you begin to feel like you're going crazy. You come home sometimes, or even in your own house, you'll say, man, is it me? Am I crazy, or did so-and-so just do this? Am I crazy, or is this that? We have a real slick subversive form of oppression today in our society. And a lot of times men need those opportunities. I've spoken to a lot of men, sometimes even in their own homes, who are going through problems, and again, the deflection of women that's been trained into women. See, and all of that stuff that I'm talking about in terms of what women do, I'm not saying it like it's a part of your feminine nature. That's why I'm so vocal about it. I'm saying it's been taught to you. And you've taken the fruit. You've taken the bait. So just like the idea that, oh, girl power and, women build society. Y'all ain't build no freaking society. Get out of here with that. We let you manage a society after the men built it. Now, of course, people are afraid to say that, because they're afraid they're going to offend the women. No, y'all build something else. This is not what you do. We build the societies. We build the buildings. We lift the bricks. We do that. There's something else that you do. But again, if you're only aimed and focused at the male aesthetic or the male contribution, and you feel like, well, y'all are not giving us access to the male contribution, then you'll start to feel like, okay, now this is unfair. And then that's when you start to beg. Women, listen to that. You start to beg for women's empowerment. Because what are the women's empowerment movements about? They're not about, like what Sister Michelle just said, sisterhood. They're not about establishing the collective and corporate body of a woman's standard. They're about going to men and petitioning them for opportunities. That's not empowerment. You can't be given power is 85% taken, 15% given. Remember those numbers. I'm coming up with them on the spot, so I might change them later. But it's around that area somewhere. 85% taken, 15% given. You can't beg and march for power. It doesn't work like that. You have to take it. So anytime you have an opportunity where a man says, "Okay, you know what? We're gonna give you this. We're gonna give you the WNBA, even though it doesn't make any money and it's financed by the NBA. We're gonna give that to you." So you can feel empowered. You're getting played out. You don't even realize it. You're getting played out. Just so you can feel empowered. But if I gave it to you, you ain't really empowered. You see what I'm saying? So there's a there's a flim flam sham that's going on that a lot of people are not in tune with. I'm gonna read another comment. Shasha says again, I feel women just lost their way and started imitating the imitation. Good point. Females learning fashion, hair, trends, makeup, and even how to give a strong feminine walk from gay men. Absolutely. Yeah, I've seen that firsthand in the modeling industry. Not me as a model, but being with models. And that was something that always used to have me look at the women I was with who were modeling like, are you dumb? Kind of inwardly, I wouldn't ask that, but I'd say, why? You got this guy over here, he's telling you what's sexy. He doesn't even want you. So, of course, that's why all of you are emaciated. All of you models look like 8-year-old boys. You got the bodies of 8-year-old boys. I'm not saying that gay men are all pedophiles, but I'm saying that I bet you some of those fashion designers are pedophiles. Look at the aesthetic, Michelle again says, I'm going to read some of these comments because, like I said, I really wanted to get your feel on a lot of this stuff. Michelle says, so we are insane because we have no sisterhood either. I see the sisters reach out. Some really want it, but don't know how to be vulnerable and raw. It's too many fronts. Exactly. Fake with each other too much. Because the sisterhood, a lot of times, and not that I'm discouraging it, but it comes in too late. You develop your sense of that in your cohorts when you're children. So that way there's an openness, but you try to come into that when you're 40 or 50 years old. You know what mostly happens when you have those sisterhood groups? You always have a bunch of women in the room that says, I'm just listening. I'm here. No, I don't want to say too much. I just want to listen. And they just really sitting back and judging everybody. So no one's really opening up and being honest. I've seen that too many times. It's sickening. Those people I'll be wanting to kick out. Get lost. Which I'm just listening. Then why are you here? You just here to take. You ain't contributing nothing. You warming up a seat. So a lot of times it happens late, and you're right, there's a lot of fronts that are put in place because women, and I spoke to women like that yesterday, and I actually had to hurry up and get her off the phone. She was calling me for some assistance, and she was like, I don't really. I grew up, around the fellas. I got a lot of guy friends because women. I'm just not into the cattiness and this and that and that and that. And I listened to her and I said, so you mean to tell me? I said one statement. No, I think I asked the question. You know how I do. That's a little slick thing I do. So I was like, so if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying the one person on the planet that is most similar to yourself, you don't like to be around. So essentially, you don't like yourself in a sense. Would you kind of say that? And she was like, she paused and she was like, no, I'm saying I don't like the cattiness. So I was like, all right, you too dumb to even figure out what I just asked. So I was like, all right, I gotta go. So, here's my book. Go check this out. Read that. I'm out. Didn't want to hear that. And she actually elevated. She got a little rough when I said that. Elevated her voice. Her voice got a little deeper, because the truth was coming in. So now she's got to try to beat me back. But that ain't going to work, So, yeah, a lot of times there's a lot of fronts because people are too afraid to be vulnerable. And in America or just in the Anglosphere, you're dealing with a lot of insecure people. Insecurity is rampant because people don't know where their foot of power is. And to understand that, really go back to the show that I did on motherhood, the ones that I did recently, and the energy that's transferred from mother to child. And when that transfer isn't done properly, you're going to have an insecure child because they have no footing. They have no gripping. You see, I'm going to read some more. As a woman, Ang White says, or Ange, could be Ange White. As a woman, young is in. Being seen with gray hair or as old in the media is looked down upon. I will be honest and say I struggle with getting older, even though it is wisdom I gain. Yeah, but see, that's in the media. Are we conscious people and cultured people, or are we media slaves who are being oppressed by the same exact mechanisms that people who have attached themselves to a secular reality are? At some point, you have to kind of make that distinction and the separation. In the media, again, a black man is perceived as a beast. You can see it in all the different movies. He's always bestial, every single time. That's what Kong is about. King Kong. It's always been about that. But I know I'm not like that. And I'm looking at the game. So I could care less if the media says, oh, like even the age that I'm at. I was speaking to someone the other day and we were talking about ages. And I was saying, listen, man, I forget the conversation, and it's good because it was a consultation. I ain't gonna tell y'all anyway. But basically, I was saying that it was somebody who's in their 60s, and they were feeling like they couldn't get certain things done. And I said, you got to back up and look at the larger context. The only reason why you feel like you can't do certain things in your 60s, or if you're not of total sound mind and body, is because you didn't take care of yourself in your 30s and your 40s. Most likely because you followed the dictates of this sick culture and did the things that they told you to do. Like maybe you got married at 25. Now you spending the next 15, 20 years trying to figure out how to get your finances in order to raise these children and send them off to college. You got married too soon. So now by the time you 50, 60 years old, what do you want to do? Rest and retire. Because you did things too soon, you see, or you slept with too many women or the wrong type of women. We could just go down the whole, because I was talking to a guy. So we can go down the whole list. So a lot of times following this society, it messes up the actual clock. At 60 years old, let me tell you something. You should still be strong, should still look good, should be of sound mind, should have your memory and everything. The only reason that you don't a lot of times is because you've been beat down by this society. And that societal beatdown makes you, now you got to retire at 65. You got nothing left. But let's just say, and again, I'm going to say this again. I've said it before. People always respond to it funny, but you need to hear it. Men, you shouldn't be getting even thinking about marriage until 40. So now what am I doing between 15? Let's say I come into my manhood really at 13, but let's say I'm sure of it at 15 between 15 and 40. That's 25 years. What should I be doing? Going to work every day and then just sleeping with a bunch of women. Then at 40, after my genital has been so stretched out and elongated, looks like a doggone slinky. Now I'll go and marry someone and give someone this old used up, dirty schlong. No. For 25 years, you should be empire building. Imagine if you had a vision. I don't care what that vision is. You want to be a musician or you want to be a painter or comedian, whatever it is. Imagine if you gave yourself 25 years to achieve it. Now, most don't give themselves that much respect. They don't give their potential that much respect that this is something I could actually do. I could actually achieve my dream. So they get married young because at that age that you get married, you're basically saying, this is what I'm going to be here on out. You need to start putting that idea in your mind, men. This is what I'm going to be here on out. So if I'm making $60,000 a year and I get married, I'm making $60,000 a year for the rest of my life. Put that thought in your mind. Even you might say, well, yeah, people get married and they make more money. So yeah, some do, but many don't. Many spend a lot of their life for, because after that, you're going to have children, this and that, and that, and that, and that, and that. And there's a freeze on certain things. You may have wanted to be a comedian or a puppet master or a clothing designer, whatever it is, a chef. But you put that stuff to the side. Why? Well, I'm a family man now, so, I got to, right. But what if you would have given yourself 25 years to achieve what you're supposed to achieve and stayed focused? So now at 40, 41 years old, you present yourself to a woman and you're the man now. You got your business, you got reliable transportation, you probably don't already bought your house. Heck, you might have bought your house, the joint might be paid for. You might have bought your house at 25 and got a 15-year mortgage and now it's paid for. Now you present yourself to a woman, a younger woman at that. And now it makes more sense. And also, you got a lot of your jealousies out of you, your anger, your insecurities. You've worked on all of that stuff. You see, you've worked on all of those different things within you. And I guarantee you're not going to get divorced. You know how to keep a relationship together at this point. But so many don't have that sense of process. They don't have that. Why? Because this society is giving you a time frame that doesn't actually work for you. But you don't even realize it. They've given you a schedule that doesn't work. They do the same thing to the women. You spend the majority of your most productive and strongest years working for somebody's company. Then when you finally decide I'm going to have a baby or whatever, you're already so entrenched in your occupation. What are you going to get? 2-3 months off for maternity leave? Then you right back on the grind and sitting there worried all day if the nanny's beating up on your baby. Wasn't planned out properly. Yeah. So yeah, that perception of how the media perceives you as old or what your clock is supposed to be is based on Western sickness. 50, 60 years old, you should still be strong. You should still be smart. You should still be having sex without an issue. Even better sex than you've ever had. There's a guy I used to train with many years ago, fighting. And I met him one night in the park. Long story, I ain't going to go through all of it. But I was training in the park. And this had to be I used to like to train 2 o'clock in the morning. That's because I worked through the night most of the time. So that would be the way I would kind of break up my work day. Because my work day usually starts, believe it or not, like 10 p.m. Even though y'all hear me do all this, I do the consultations and all this. This is all the stuff I'm doing for you. But at 10 p.m., then I get to actually work because that's when the phones die down and everything. So I usually work from about 10 p.m. maybe to 3 in the morning, 3, 4 in the morning, get a couple hours in, then I'm back at it. So I'm out there and I'm training and he walks by. And I don't want to even tell the whole story. But basically, he was basically a samurai, right? And I'm looking at him. He looked like maybe, this was years ago. I was younger then. So he looked like I'd say maybe he was 45, and he's out there with me. And he was like, you gotta, you're a big, strong guy, man. You have to tighten up everything though, man. And he's teaching me, he actually gave me a book on pranayama. He was like, yeah, this is how you really develop that strength. And we were out there, I was doing some push-ups on my knuckles and stuff. He was like, now switch them over, do them on your fingertips. He gets down, he starts doing the push-ups on his fingertips. Then he starts doing push-ups on his wrist. Now, I can't do wrist push-ups. My wrists were not that flexible then, and I still can't do wrist push-ups. I'd have to work on it. But anyway, he's doing it, and he's just as big as me, by the way. I may have had him by a couple of inches. So, I had him so he's a couple of inches shorter than me, but wide and tight. You could tell. And we talking and stuff, and I'm like, wow, we just going over techniques together, and we ended up becoming friends after that. But he was 74 years old. 74 years old. That changed my life that night. Because at one point, we were like lightly sparring. And he was like, all right, I'm going to show you how to do this hammer hand punch. And we're doing different things together. And I mean, he was rocking me a little bit. But again, I'm thinking he's in his 40s. And he showed me this picture of him when he was in his 50s. And he was like, yeah, because he was a Mason. He was like, yeah, a lot of people don't know I'm a Mason, and he showed me the picture. He had it in his bag with him. And he was like, you wouldn't even know how old I am, would you, if I didn't have this gray in my beard? And I said, no, I would have thought you were 74 years old, and that changed my life. That made me realize in that moment, we got the clock all messed up. Our clock is off. We're taking on the Western clock, just like the way we raise our children. We take on the Western clock. All my youth, when they came out, opened their eyes. Every last one of them. Right out of the bush, while the umbilical cord was being cut, eyes were open, head turned. But Western science tells you that's not supposed to happen for like 2-3 days after the birth. Not my youth. And any sister that I had a child with, the day of or the day after the birth, she was running upstairs, moving around, doing what she wanted to do, strong. You see, so sometimes we're using someone else's standard and it creates an insecurity inside of us. I'm going to read another comment. By the way, Shahrazad Ali once, this is what Shaga Guru says. By the way, Shahrazad Ali was once that older woman speaking to other women, and she was treated like Tyrese. Yes. If you listen to some of the shows that Felicia and Kim did, the goddess shows, the thing, I forget the title of them, but she brought that up because I had introduced Felicia to Shahrazad Ali, and she loved her. And she was made fun of heavy back in the 80s, man. What's the name? What's the show? Living Color was doing skits about her and stuff like that. And she was saying some of the same things. These are some of the problems you guys have. We all came up under that. As a woman, I'm trying to tell you what's going on. And she's still doing it. And like she said at one point when she had stopped speaking, I remember her speaking about that. She said that the people have turned a deaf ear. After a while, you get tired of the disrespect. You putting yourself out there, you're making yourself a target, and people over there making fun of you. Or disrespecting your intelligence, insulting your intelligence. So yeah, she stopped. But I recommend that book to people all the time. Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. I recommend that to black women and black men, or men and women in general, because honestly, in America, all the women act the same. That's part of the problem. That's how you know it's not a black woman just messed up, or Spanish woman just messed up. It's not that. It's the society giving it to everybody. That's your clue right there. Read another comment. Michelle says, "Ang, where it is actually opposite, those white streaks of a bottle on your crown should be an honor." True. Exactly. Shaga Guru says, "I watched the old broadcast of the Donahue show and Sally Jesse Raphael, and very few women supported the message." No, you had that big giant juggernaut Bell Hooks coming out and was talking crap about her. At one point, even called her a prostitute in the middle of the stage. So yeah, man. No, even amongst a lot of females back in the days, Shahrazad got her back kicked in. Iyanla Vanzant used to kick her back in. And you keep in mind, you're looking at Shahrazad Ali. You're looking at, first of all, a beautiful woman. But you're looking at someone who always had a husband, always had a family, and would always cite the most honorable Elijah Muhammad for his teachings. So she's saying, no, this is coming from a light. This is coming from my husband, who was taught by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And one of the things that she always said was that my husband, because her first husband died, she's the older sister, but her first husband died. She got married again, but she would always cite that he taught me what the brothers were learning. And she used to say that a lot of the brothers had a problem with that. And like, I agree. She'd say, well, who's going to teach the children? You got to teach me this stuff. And look at the result that we have, the beautiful books that she's written, the lectures that she's given and stuff like that. Because again, as I've often said, information and knowledge is disseminated from man to woman to child. So a lot of you brothers who are holding on to this information, I've seen that so many times, because you want to maintain your dominant position over your woman. That's just stupid, because now you end up with stupid children. And then later you say, yeah, man, I'm trying to get my children into the conscious thing, man, but they just not feeling it. Yeah, because they don't really want to learn from you. They learn from the mother. Witness that when you have babies. Men, it's so much easier for the mother to teach them stuff at a certain age. And after a certain age, they want to learn from you. But when they, them babies 1-2 years old, the mother, anything the mother tell them, A, B, C, the child will repeat. You do it, A, B, C. They look at you like, just pass me the mommy. I don't get it. Come on, man. Go on. Get. So there's a sacred relationship there a lot of times that is missed out on. So Anwar says, Chief, what do you say or encourage your daughters to influence them to be the great women they can be? And he says, I have always thought about that when it's time for me to have a daughter. Well, or to be the greatest women they could be, excuse me. Well, the first thing I do is I let them know that they're not great. So I give them something to achieve to. So as opposed to coming out and, oh, you a little queen. And, I don't praise them because they can take on the aesthetics of greatness, because they may play around and put on mommy's shoes or mommy's glasses and say, oh, you great, just like your mom. Nah, you got to work towards it. So one of the things that I always instill from a young age is that there's a process. So I would always say, you're already a princess because Baba's a ruler, but you have to work to be a queen. So then or an empress. I don't use the word queen. I'm just saying that for you guys. But so I'd always speak about the process and the things that you have to do in order to achieve that positioning. So that was always the goal. And I would use language that this society doesn't use. So that way they couldn't encroach upon it. So like one of the reasons I don't say queen, because you walk down the street, people say, hey, peace queen, to anybody. They just throw it out like it's nothing. So if my child hears that, they're like, oh, but this person's a queen and she's over here twerking, in the middle of the supermarket. So, what are you telling me, Baba? So, I would use terminology that would step outside of the societal construct. That's one of the things that I do. Also, in terms of encouraging a child to be the greatest that they could be, one of the main things you got to do is listen to that child. You have to get a sense of where they're at, because you're bringing out their latent genius. And in order to bring out that genius, you have to listen. The genius is the jinn. Remember, so the jinn is hidden. The jinn is quiet. So you got to listen to the child. You got to watch the child. Watch the things that you see the potential for greatness in them with. Some children are not as good at certain things as other things, So, you kind of gotta learn to listen to your children, man, and straight up have conversations with them. Straight up, like talk to them, man. Really listen to what they're saying and explore thoughts with them, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're tired and it's wearing you out, and really hear where they're coming from and hear their perspective. So that way they don't have to try to develop their full perspective and understanding about life in isolation, you see. So, that was some of the things I did. I mean, it's a lot, down to how I dressed them. My first daughter, was very much about fashion. Honestly, I mean, she ain't listening right now, but to an annoying degree. It was annoying. Because, I'd be like, here, baby, I picked out this yellow dress. Come on, we out. We got to go to the such and such. Baba, that's how she says it. Baba, I did. And then, she's real sensitive, so she'll cry before she'll explain something. But I want to wear the blue today. I had it picked out, but I was doing the blue dress. All right. Put the blue one on. Let's just go. But I don't know where my blue head wrap is. I want the blue head wrap. But baby, you can wear the white head wrap with the blue. but I want to wear all the same color. I want it to be the same color, Mama. My daughter started dressing herself when she was 2. Imagine that nonsense, having to deal with that. So when she was like 3 or 4, she used to lay out her clothes the night before. Her mother was a model, so she inherits some of that vanity. Still has it, So you gotta sit there. You gotta flow with it. You know what I mean? You gotta like, all right, okay, baby, because that's part of the expression. She's saying no, like I'm taking ownership of myself. So you have to be careful as a man not to encroach upon that territory, especially with the girl. She feels a sense of self-ownership, you go with it. You support it. You don't try to undermine it by saying, oh, baby, just put on a sweatsuit. One of the things, too, in terms of greatness, I always created a clear distinction between the boys and the girls. What they do, how they played, how they dress, especially, and how they spoke. So again, giving her a lane where she can go down and say, this is where your path or your lane of greatness is different than the boys. Because you ain't going to be able to do, I wouldn't say that, but you ain't going to be able to do what the boys do. You ain't going to be able to punch as hard as them or run as hard or fall out of a tree and get up and play it off. She would try to do some things as a young age, but you say, nah, man, Your hookup is different. So yeah, you got to give with young girls, you have to instill a great sense of self ownership. I'm telling you, it's key. And the directions that they want to go down, pay attention. Pay attention to how they want to wear a certain color and things like that, and or want to eat a certain way. I started again my first daughter off with cooking very early. Well, I wouldn't let her cook, but because we mainly eat raw, but preparing her food very early, and she had certain requirements as it pertained to that. So she got to the point where, and she's still kind of like that. If she doesn't know how something was prepared, she doesn't really want to eat it. Even at a young age, like you couldn't just give her like a more, she ain't hamburger, but you couldn't give her something that was like a stew. She'd look at you like you stupid, because she wouldn't trust it. I don't know what you put in that, because I'm used to creating things in my own hands, and Baba lets me, put this in there, and Baba lets me do that, and rub the kale with the olive oil, and I know what was done, and I did that on purpose. Because, food is only going to get worse as we get older. So, when you want to help with the greatness of your daughter, Anwar, again, just to hit upon that, you got to think forward, man. A lot of forward thinking, man. Look at her, she may be 1 or 2 or 3 years old. Look at her at 15. Look at her at 20. Look at her at 30. And look at that and then work your way backwards. Before I even had my first daughter, when she came out as a girl, I said, okay, certain things flashed through my head. Her mother's 5'10", gorgeous, and I'm tall and stout. I'm big bodied. So first thing went through my head, okay, she's gonna be fine, she's gonna be tall and thick. First thing that went through, not the very first, obviously, but one of the things that went through my head, I'm gonna have a thick, tall child, and always knew her hair is still locked. Her hair has never been cut, so she's gonna have these long locks, She's tall, thick, got her mother's face, her father's thickness, and her mother's shapely too, of course. So I said, okay, now let's work from there backwards. And she's going to be brilliant because I'm going to make sure she's brilliant. Work from that point backwards. You see? So yeah, man, that's what you got to do. You got to be real forward thinking, man. But listen to them, man. You got to talk to your youth, man. Talk to them. You'll hear things that you may not want to hear sometimes, man. But remember their ancestors. They're older than you possibly. All right. I'm gonna go to another comment, and we're gonna break soon. Bamboo says, "I just trying to be the father that they need, and not what they want. That way, they see what a man looks like. I start there. Yeah, you're doing it right, man. Doing it right. You got to be what your family needs, not what they want. And that does give them an impression of manhood. I'm not here to satisfy your every need. And and it's hard with girls. It's hard." Because they know how to. Women are manipulative, and their power is through their sexuality. They're natural manipulators. So you got 2-year-old, 1-year-old, or 3-year-old, 4-year-old children. They know how to flirt. Little girls know how to flirt. Don't get it twisted. They know how to flirt. They'll ask for something. You'll say no, and they'll start dancing, and they'll hold their head up to the side. Please, you told me I could. That's flirting. They're flirting. They're trying to manipulate you. I put a stop. Be like, what are you doing? Don't ask me more than once. They stiffen up. Okay. You ain't gonna get what you want in life out of flirting, But truth is, she will, because that's just the power. But you ain't gonna do it to me. There's gonna be one man you ain't gonna be able to do that to. All right, I'm gonna go through some of these, and then let me see. I'm trying to just jump in and out. Sister Marva says, "LOL, I am that product of doing things too soon, and I can say it was not that easy. Still not easy." Good testimony. Good testimony. Antonio says, "I agree, Chief. My father's older cousin is a 74-year-old man with his own construction company and can still handle a jackhammer." See? There's a testimony right there. Testimony right there. Yeah, man. You don't have to 60, and that's usually, I just keep saying 60 because that's the age we usually feel like, all right, I'm done. To me, 60 is a different kind of start. I've always looked at it like that. Marriage at 40, 60, most of the children are out, should be just about it, out, because you shouldn't have 24, 25-year-old children still living in your house if you did what you were supposed to do properly. Maybe the girls, yeah, because I am of the mindset. I know we're going off in a whole nother area, but it's still related to the Tyrese thing. And, of course, we started in a whole nother mother effing area. But girls should stay in the house until they get married. Married, as Sister Lola would say. They should stay in the house until they're married. Now, I know a lot of women don't like that one. I've said that before. They didn't like it, but I don't care what you like. You're here to be taught. You ain't gonna teach me that. I'm telling you how it's supposed to go. Because you put a girl out into a world and you so proud of her. She got her own apartment. She got her own car. Yeah, and she got a whole bunch of dusty dudes coming through, hitting off in the middle of the night. I know, because I used to be one of those dusty dudes. Yo, I'm coming through. You ain't gonna stay? Nah, I ain't gonna stay. I'm coming through. Then when I'm done, when you coming back? Come on, man, I'll be back. See, that's what your daughter has out there, with her own place, her own car, and her own apartment. It's indecent. Go back to that again. It's indecent. She should be, a woman or a girl should always be under the covering of a man at all times. Now, I know the society tells you something different, but sometimes some of y'all forget that this society is insane. Sometimes you guys forget that. Now, do we say the same about the boys? No. Push them suckers out early. Get them out. because they got to go take their bumps and their bruises. So that way, but your girl shouldn't take the bumps and bruises. Girls have to remain soft and almost childlike. Why? Because when you have a baby, why does a baby learn from the mother so much easier? Because her energy is softer. Me, I done went through hell and back. And then you bring all that around a baby, and the baby can sense. I mean, like I say, yeah, I done had people die and all that, man. You know, they sense all that around you. Like, damn, whoever this guy is, he done been through it. Mommy, keep him up off me. Don't let him touch the milk. Okay? So, you know, a woman has to be protected in that sense, because I'm telling you, if I did a survey right now of all the women in the chat room, 9 out of 10 of them who've gone and shot themselves out there and done certain things, they'll admit that, man, I made some of the worst decisions on my own in my life. And I'm still paying for it to this day. Like I said, young girls shouldn't be allowed to make certain decisions for their lives. You got 40, 50-year-old women who will admit, I'm not a good decision maker. I just wish I had a man who could come in here and take the lead and kind of tell me what I need to do. Well, if you 40 and 50 and feel that way, think about a young girl who's 19, 20 years old. She knows even less. But she's at that age is making her most critical decisions. Who I'm going to have sex with the first time. That's why you got 15, 16-year-old girls be having sex with 25-year-old dudes. That's, you know, she's not equipped to make that decision. Who I'm going to have a baby with. If I'm going to have a baby. What am I going to major in school? When am I going to get married? She's making, and you got dumb ASS fathers sitting back like, well, hey, man, that's what she want to do, man. You know, she's happy. She doing all right. She's in the army. She joined the army. She doing good. Yeah, she doing good. Stupid. You stupid. Pushing your child out there, she's not equipped to make those decisions. A woman should always be under the covering of a man. You go right from your father to your lover. That's the transition. Not you go from your sorry ASS pops, and then you go and then you live on your own, make a bunch of dumb decisions on your own. Your boss is probably either screwing you or manipulating you. You ain't making the money that you should be making. You pay too much for your car, and then you also paying too much to get the car fixed. When you need repairs done on your house or your apartment, you getting raped there too. You just getting tossed and thrown around by the world. And then you say at some point, yeah, I want me a husband. But now a man comes and looks at you and says, you're only good for a sexual release because I don't feel that sense of dependency. And I'm attracted to things that are dependent upon me. Just like a woman says, I'm not attracted to a man who's dependent. I'm attracted to a man who's independent. So you can't be coming from your mama's house and then moving in with me. Because you've never developed your spirit of independence. You see? So you don't have any scars. You don't have any bumps and bruises. So now when something happens, most likely the female is going to be more equipped to deal with the emergency. Because she was out there taking the bumps and bruises. But here's the thing about it. She's still going to deal with the emergencies wrong because that's not her lane. Her lane is not decision making, leading, and things like that. But how many females step into that place or are hoisted into that place because of their sorry ASS parents? And then now when a dude comes along, because he might have sorry ASS parents, the roles are reversed, but neither one is good at doing either side. I spoke to the same sister I spoke to yesterday was saying that, well, yeah, you know, I was married to a sorry man for 11 years. So a lot of women have to play both roles, and, you know, it makes us harder in a certain way. And I said to her, yeah, but the truth is, it's like a transsexual. You can't really play that role. So, you know, more than hardening you, it probably frustrates you. Because you're trying to play the man's role, and you never could play the man's role. Because genetically and chemically and energetically, you don't even have the design. You don't have the tools to do it. You can only pretend. It's like me playing the woman's role. I don't really have the tools. Now, could I take a newborn baby out of a woman's womb and say, okay, I'm going to stay home and be the nanny and I'm going to do that? Yeah, I could, but I'm screwing that child up. And the truth is, I'm not really being a nanny because there was, the baby wants to lay against something soft, something that smells a certain way. Baby don't want to feel my hard beard. I remember as a child, I used to hate when my pops picked me up because he had this beard, man. He used to rip my side of my face. And his hands was all, my father was a drummer, so he got these big, hard hands. Hands look like freaking cinder blocks. He rubbed the top of my head. Just like, man, come on, man. Rub all my waves out of my head. All of them. Got me look like a doggone porcupine. But mommy didn't do that. Mommy knew when she rubbed the top of your head, she'd go with the waves, go with the grain. So I'm just saying, I'm being funny, but the truth is, man, we're using a schedule and a standard from a sick society. And some of the things that I'm saying, I know they sound totally radical. I know they do, but that's just because we're so far off from where we're supposed to be. Don't be sending your daughters out there, man. That ain't cute. That ain't cute.
There are no shows scheduled within the next 24 hours.
All right. Well,
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio.
We
Goodbye.
lost our screw it. We lost our Blog Talk because my Skype dropped. All right, so that's okay. I think most people over here on YouTube anyway. But yeah, like I was saying, our perception is really off a lot of times when it pertains to how we raising these children. And again, I'm just kind of following up on Brother Anwar's question. How do you bring out the greatness in your daughters, man? You keep them covered. As long as they're covered, they're going to be soaking up game from you every single day. Keep them covered. Don't let them go out there. And a lot of times they want to do that. Because why? They think, they're trained to do that. Sometimes their mothers think that way. You don't need a man to, I heard that stuff growing up. I know how to cook and sew and all that because I was told at certain times, by different elders, you don't want to have to depend on a woman to cook your meals. So you better learn how to cook and iron and sew. And that's something that some of us guys wear as a badge of honor. That's gay, man. And I want you guys to understand when I say gay, I'm not talking about gay as in homosexual. I'm saying it's gay as in it's off. No, there's something wrong with you. And even on the continent, a man who cooks all his meals, sleeps alone and stuff like, he's looked at as a weirdo. Really, he's looked at as a weirdo. It's not like over here where we take pride. We see a guy shopping in the supermarket and he's cooking, and a woman to say, "Oh, that's oh, you can cook." I cooked a woman out of my plate. I kicked her out of my place behind that one time. She told me she was hungry. I cursed out, man. I said, "You gotta go." She came over. I was helping her with something, and she said, "Haru, I'm hungry." She said, "What you gonna make me to eat?" I said, "What? What you just?" I said, what? It was like the scene in Menace to Society. "What you say about my mama?" I said, "What you just say to me?" She said, "I'm hungry. What you gonna make me to eat?" Trying to put a little smile on it. I said, "Are you out of your effing mind?" At the time, I was living by myself. I said, "I'm a bachelor. Not only," I said, "you came over here and I'm helping you to do something to help your life, but on top of that, I live alone." Uh-oh, just started breaking up. All right, let me try my little trick. Let's see if I can. Give me 1 second. Let's see, how did I do this? I'm almost forgetting my trick. All right, here we go. All right, and hopefully that smoothed it out. Yeah, hopefully that smoothed it out. You guys let me know. But yeah, man, I know it sounds rough. And I'm not a rough person, as rough as y'all think. But, man, I cursed out, man. I said, "You come to my place. I'm helping you with something. I live alone. So if anything, you should have came with a plate saying, 'Hey, brother, you hooking me up, boom, boom, boom.'" And I'm going to give you two things. I'm going to give you the full thing. I was helping her to get this business started that she kept whining about she wanted to do but didn't know how to get started. And I wasn't having sex with her or anything like this. So it wasn't that type of situation. So I'm helping her with that. And she was driving this old Toyota Corolla at the time that was giving her a lot of problems. So I said, bring your car, drop your car off with me, and I'll fix it for free, because she didn't have any money. She was a teacher, you know, and I know she didn't have money like that. So I was like, I'll hook you up. I'll fix the car for you. Right. So I did that and helped her start the business, got the car working. There was that car, because she lived in the city. She lived in the Bronx at the time. So there was rats inside of the doggone engine, and they were chewing at the wires. So I did a lot of work on the car, got the thing running right. Told us, come on, pick up the car. When you pick up the car, we'll go over the business plan, the ideas and everything. And gonna bring her behind, sat on my sofa and said, I'm hungry. What you gonna make me to eat? Kick that broad out, man. I said, yo, you gotta go, man. Take the car. Car's running good. You gotta go. You know, you could have at least said, hey, is there a supermarket around here? Or looked in my refrigerator. Hey, look like you ain't got nothing in your. I probably did at the time. I don't remember, but I'm gonna make you something to eat. It's the least I could do. You fixed my car for free. Didn't even say give me the money for the part. I paid for the part. I remember I even put a new battery in the car. Hooked the car up. You know, and helping you with the business thing, taking out my Sunday to do this for you, and you gonna come over and tell me to make you something to eat like I'm some type of, I don't even want to say the word, but I said, nah, man, that's your job. That's your job, man. You're the woman. You coming into my environment, you're coming into a man's environment, you're not even coming with a gift. But at least you should say, hey, I made some food. I don't care if it's a bowl of beans. It's all I could afford. It's some beans. You know, here, have some of these beans, brother. Thank you for helping me out. But you want me to now to cook for you? See, you got this thing confused. See, a lot of times, sometimes when we serve people, they immediately put us in the beta category. They see us as nothing but servants, as you saw early on the phone call. Nothing but a servant. So you don't really have respect for servants. You know. All right, I'm gonna go through a couple more of these comments, then we're gonna close out soon. Let's see. Let me go scroll up. There's been a lot of conversation. I'm probably gonna miss a lot of these things, just because it's like y'all are pretty active here. All right, let me just go down here. So I'm looking for some comments here. Okay, I'll just go to designs not defined. I didn't speak on you this time. So for a woman who had to take bumps and bruises but still understands she needs a leader, how does she get that without him seeing her as hard and independent? Well, here, let's do this. And I'm going to go back to the beginning of the question. I'm going to read it again, and then I'm going to give the answer. So for a woman who had to take bumps and bruises, but still understands she needs a leader, how does she get that without him seeing her as hard and independent? Okay, first thing here. If he sees you as hard and independent, it's because you're hard and independent. Don't be hard and independent. Be soft and dependent. That's the answer. Now, I know you probably want more of an answer, but that's the answer. Because there's some things in your question that reveal where you're at. So for a woman who had to take bumps and bruises, but still understands she needs a leader, right there, the statement right there, you reveal some things already. Because you're saying I had to take bumps and bruises, but you're really saying I'm the leader. I'm a leader, but I still understand that I need a leader. So there's going to be a problem immediately. Right there, there's going to be a problem. So for women who had to take bumps and bruises, why did you have to take bumps and bruises? Because you made bad decisions because you didn't have a man. So there is no I had to take bumps and bruises, but I still understand I need a leader. You needed a leader back then, or you wouldn't have taken those bumps and bruises. So your decision-making faculties are screwed up. That's why you took bumps and bruises. See, some of this stuff, you got to come to a place of admission. And a lot of times that's hard for them. Like the woman I was talking to yesterday who said, well, you know, a lot of times we got to play both roles. And you don't have to play both roles. And I said this to her. she said, because there's no good men out here and women have to raise children. I said, no. She didn't like it, but I had to say it because you know me. I said, females tend to chase away good men. Females tend to chase away good men. Good men usually are enterprising. They have things to do. They're not going to be bothered with hard-headed females. No matter how pretty you think you are or how great you think your sex is, they're not going to be bothered with you. And oftentimes, the older we men get, we're not even interested in casual sex with a hard-headed female. We want nothing to do with you whatsoever. So you want to think about that in terms of what you're saying. So as soon as you say, well, how does she get that without him seeing her as this? Don't make the assumption that we don't know what we're seeing. Like the caller did earlier, the first call. I'm giving an answer and you trying to tell me I don't understand. Well, no, okay, let me explain it for you. There's nothing you can explain to me because I'm way smarter than you, way wiser than you. Talking to you, for me, is like talking to I don't even want to disrespect the child, but let's talking to someone who's much younger than me. And you might be around my same age. Now, 9 times out of 10, that's the relationship of a man to a female or a man to a woman. I know your memes on Instagram tell you something different, but those are memes created by people who don't have relationships. How could I be a leader to you if I can't completely cover you? How could I completely cover you if I'm not smarter, wiser, stronger, and better than you in every way? Just put 2 and 2 together. And I know a lot of people don't like how that sounds. You don't like the sound of it. It sounds very arrogant. It sounds like someone's undermining your femininity. No one's undermining your femininity. How could I actually lead you if I'm not better than you? The same way a father leads a child. You have to be better in every single way in order to really cover somebody. If not, then they're going to be able to stick their head out or their hand out of a window somewhere, and it's going to get bumped and bruised and cut off. So if a man says you're hard and independent and you respect that man, you're hard and independent. It's not that that's how he sees it or he's confused or that's the impression. Because a lot of times with sisters will say things like, oh, that's what I'm giving off. I don't mean to give that off. See, that's undermining. It's not that you're giving that off. I'm telling you what you are, but you don't want to accept that from me. So I'm telling you, even in that question, I can see some stuff. I can see a problem already, even in your question and the way that you poise your question. And I know that the first response is to say, well, no, I didn't mean it that way. Let me word it this way. But you should listen to what I said. Then you said later, I always say I don't want to make the hard decisions. Of course, women never want to make the hard decisions because they don't want to be accountable for what happens next. They want to make, but if somebody says don't wear that dress or something like that, then you want to fight and rebel. I'm not picking on you, but I'm just saying. A lot of sisters will say that. And now you say, I did make terrible decisions. I chose a man who wasn't a leader. No, you didn't choose a man who wasn't a leader. You were a no good woman, so you got a no good man. Come on now. See, it's always the same. Don't want to be accountable. I did make terrible decisions. I chose a man who wasn't a leader to start a family with because I wasn't taught how to choose a man. Well, even if you were taught how to choose a man, if you weren't good enough for a real man, we don't want you anyway. You see what I'm saying? And again, I know no one speaks like that. It sounds like I'm being rude and all of that, but there's an inherent spirit that's in the culture of the Anglosphere. And especially as it pertains to relationships to black men and black women. If you ever ask a black woman, what does she do wrong in her relationship? She always says the same exact thing. They all have the same answer. I picked the wrong person. So somehow you were the right person. You were great. You were perfect. Somehow colonization and Willie Lynchism and white supremacy racism just passed you over. And it only went to the guy. And you were fine, but the guy was screwed up. So you ended up, the only thing you had wrong, somehow you had all these great things about you, but you just didn't know how to pick a good man. And if you would have got a good man, your life would have been good. Well, let me give you guys a news flash. I probably reject more females than most of you have even been in relationships with. And I know I'm a great man. Skip good. I was good. I was a good man when I was 16 years old. I'm a great man. And a lot of females who think that they have the stuff, who think that they are, they're great women or they're good women are not good enough. Like the female I was talking to last night. She was bragging and I'm this not trash. I'm gonna have to say how it is trash. Since I gotta get off the phone. I see why you don't have. I see you calling me for assistance. I see what your problem is already. So, and I'm not saying that you design's not to find a trash or anything. I'm just pointing out something from a critical place that a lot of females don't look at, which causes them not to change because they don't take self-accountability. It's the victim role. Again, like the first caller did. I'm always the victim. And then if you point out, well, maybe there's something about your character, then they go berserk. Me? What? What? You see? Now, a good man or even a great man or a real man wants nothing in the world to do with a person like that, because you got to understand, real men are military minded. So if we give you an order or a directive, we expect it to be followed and carried out. Now, if you're dealing with an individual who you say, well, listen, we need to do this, need to do that, or you did this wrong, do it again. You didn't do it right. You didn't follow directions, this, that, and the third. If you do that, then the first, and she says, well, wait a minute, hold on now, I didn't do it wrong. And she's talking back. You don't want anything to do with it. Now, again, y'all can take it however you want. You can say, well, Chief is just hard and this and that. Go ahead. But again, like I tell you, don't think I just know a lot about spirituality and I don't know a lot about other things, because spirituality is the root to everything else. I know what I'm talking about. And I'm making it very plain and clear for you. And just because a lot of other people may not be saying this because they're simps and they're making money off of keeping you stupid, doesn't mean that what I'm saying is incorrect or untruthful. It's just real, and we're just not used to people giving a darn and caring and being honest with us. But I'm telling you, a lot of guys are raggedy and a lot of females are raggedy. But like, just like Tyrese, if Tyrese would have made that statement about black men, he would have got cheered and applauded on. Let's keep it real. Let's be honest. He would have got cheered and applauded. If Tyler Perry flipped, well, he couldn't flip because you know he's all screwed up. But if he flipped his format and said, okay, I've been highlighting all these raggedy guys all this time, but if I now speak about these raggedy females who destroy the community, not just the ratchet ones, because I know everybody always goes to that, the ratchet strippers. No, the high-powered corporate ones, the church ones, the ones in the conscious community, queen, sister, this and that, because they all got the same strain of sickness. If I highlighted that, what would happen? You know what would happen. There'd be boycotts and there'd be protests in front of his studios. Boycott, just like they're boycotting Tyrese right now. People are saying don't even share his social media post anymore. Like, completely shut him out because of that statement that he said, which was not a untrue statement. So what if Steve Harvey finally said, listen, for years I've been saying y'all good black women because you got a job, you're beautiful, you're intelligent. He always starts with the basics that any damn human being should have. You're educated. Why are you getting praised for what you're supposed to have as an adult anyway? These men, the problem is they don't know how to be men because there wasn't no father in the house. So, of course, you don't have the proper understanding and modeling to now interact or engage with women like y'all, because I'm gonna tell you straight up, y'all fine. You know, he always say something real stupid like that. Y'all fine. I mean, heck, if I was your age, and, you know, he do that little stupid thing, and then the women cheer. All right, okay, all right. That's keeping you dumb, man. That's poison. It may feel good, but it's poisonous. He's disrespecting you. You don't even realize he's making fun of you. You look at Beyonce. Beyonce talks about all this girl power and girl, you should leave him and that. But she's benefiting from patriarchy. Pregnant with twins. But she's telling you to leave for the past 15 years, she's been telling you to leave your man. You don't realize, like I tell you, women are the world suckers. They're the world suckers, man. They're playing you out right now. You don't even see it. And I know it doesn't feel good what I'm saying, but it's the truth. All right. So let's see. Designs by Design said, yeah, she could have offered you something to eat so you have something for a few days. Exactly. Would have been making you dinner often. You would think so. After I fixed your raggedy car with rat turd, emptied out all the rat turd in my garage. You would think, but you know, that's how it goes. It's all right. Chief, could you speak on the Maxine Walters, Bill O'Reilly beef as it relates to when beauty standards go wrong? Nah, man, I ain't talking about that. I've been following it, but you know what? Let me just say this. Don't fall for the Maxine Waters hype right now. I'm a strong black woman and you would not disrespect me. Don't fall for that. You know, a lot of times with these news stories, we take people's careers out of context. Look at what they were saying before when certain things were happening. You know, don't get hyped over that, man. Trust me. Don't fall for that. I'm a strong black woman. You ain't going to disrespect me. Okay. All right. Okay. Pay attention to what issues people actually speak on. Like everyone let's take Obama, for instance. Everyone talks about how great Obama, black president. Look at all them killings, them police killings we had when Obama was in office. But he steady doing the transgendered bathrooms and all of that, but would not speak up on that. Boko Haram. What did Obama say about the Boko Haram situation? It was Michelle who was like, all right. She let her ovaries drop and was like, man, bring them chicks back. You know, don't fall for the hype sometimes, man. So I see more going on there with the Maxine Waters situation. And I remember when certain things were going on in this country and she was dead quiet, dead silent. Don't forget these are politicians, man. The slickest of the slick. So one of the reasons, again, why I don't a lot of times comment on current events, because that's not our clock. Don't follow those people's clock, man. That's not our clock. So Designs by Designs follow up and says, I did make terrible decisions. I chose them. All right, I already covered that. I already told you how you're wrong on that one. Shaga Guru says, oh no, Diana Williams says, what about a man who is abusive as a leader? Need more information, because women like to throw that word abuse around because it has power. So I don't, when a woman says to me somebody was abusive to him, I'm gonna tell you something honest and keep it real with you. I pretty much blank out. It's too much, and it's too relative. What's abuse? People will listen to the call earlier with me and Georgette and say I was abusive. That's why before you even did that, I said it to her. You're being abusive. I made it clear and explained how she was. I wasn't being abusive. I was responding to abuse. So Diana Williams then continues and says, my husband was a provider, but his oral presentation was abusive to me and my children. My children. So was he their stepfather? That's how it sounds here. He never hit me, but he would try to beat the crap out of our girls. I'm going to read this again. You done already told me your problem. You done already told me the problem. My husband was a provider. Point one. That's the point one that we highlight. But his oral presentation was very abusive to me and my children. That's relative. He never hit me, 0.3, but you're using such a strong word like abuse. But he would try to beat the crap out of our girls. So now, Diana Williams, I'm going to ask you, well, why didn't he beat the crap out of your girls? So, and I want to know, do you have two sets of children? Some that were not his children, that's why you used my children, and some that were the children of you both. So then later you used our children. Now, I already know what this is, but I want you to answer that question in the chat room. I know you're still there. Okay. Marva says, like you said in one of your shows, we need to listen with our eyes, look and look again. Yeah. You need to listen with your eyes and listen to yourself with your eyes. Sometimes your own actions reveal your own debauchery or your own level of sickness and damage. You gotta understand, coming out of this society, we're all damaged. We're all unwhole. So to just point fingers at one segment of our ethnic groups or one segment of our society. Okay, so you're saying 3 were not his and 1 was his. Okay, so he was helping you raise 3 children that you had with another man, and he only had 1 with you. See, so that's confusing because you said our girls, but you're saying you only had 1. So how were they your combined girls? It's confusing. This is confusing. And it's so confusing that I know that I'm going to have to give it to you, sis. I know that it's not actually a true statement. And I'm going to read the statement again, but I know I know this isn't real. My husband was a provider, but his oral presentation was very abusive to me and my children. He never hit me, but he would try to beat the crap out of our girls. And now you're saying, yes, and I respect him. Contradictions all over the place. You don't respect that, man. You wouldn't have wrote what you just wrote if you respect that. But you respect him for that because he raised them. But he tried to beat the crap out of them. This sounds crazy already. This sounds insane. So I'm going to ask one question. You're saying he tried to beat the crap out of him, but why didn't he beat the crap out? Why couldn't he? He tried, but what stopped him from beating the crap out of, you're saying our girls, but it sounds like they were your girls. So what stopped him from beating the crap out of those girls? I want that answer. Yeah. So, a lot of times, again, like I said, we come through this society and we don't realize that there's a certain sicknesses that we carry, and we're programmed to respond different ways. You see, okay, so here we go. I knew you were going to say that. So you're the one who stopped him from beating the crap out of the girls. That sounds stupid. So how was it that he was abusive? He's abusive to you and your children, but you were able to stop him from beating the crap out of the girl. Think about how that sounds. So if you were able to stop him from beating the crap out of your girls, why couldn't, you wouldn't let him, right? But why couldn't you stop him from being abusive then? If you had that much power? Your story makes no sense. So you need to sit back and I know you said you're 62 years old, if I'm not mistaken. I think you said somewhere in here you're 62 years old. So I know this narrative. Yeah, true. I'm 62, retired, and ready for my next journey. So I know this narrative that you have deeply implanted in your psyche that your husband was abusive, even though he was a provider. And providers are typically not abusive, by the way. Especially if they take on somebody else's children. And you guys don't want me to have a conversation about that. You guys don't want me to talk about taking on somebody else's children. And the mentality usually that women have, the mentality of unwed mothers. I'm pretty positive you're not ready for that talk. I'm gonna just get off of it because then I'll be the next Tyrese. But brothers, I mean, we say that for the men's call. There's just certain things you got to handle, you got to deal with when you deal with unwed mothers. I've said this before, and I only say this part. The age that a woman has her first child at is the age that she crystallizes. That's the age that she crystallizes. Yeah, I hear you, Diana Williams. He didn't have to tell and curse. I hear you. I hear you. You're wrong. I know you're going to keep typing things as blaming him, but you're wrong. I already know you're wrong. I could tell. I already know you're wrong. And I remember some of your comments previously too, but you're off on this one. You know, people like to throw that word abuse around because your slave maker gave it to you. Say, hey, look here. Anytime that buck nigger says something you don't like, you just come tell me and you make sure you say he was abusive. That's the code word. He was abusive. I don't care any kind of abuse you want to say. Verbally, physically, sexually, emotionally, mentally, financially. He was abusive, and we'll rain down on him like God did on Sodom and Gomorrah. You see, that's the place that y'all at, man. So when I see certain language, and especially when it's contradictory and it doesn't make any sense, I know who's talking through you. I already know. Somebody says something. Somebody took on you and your 3 children, and only thing you could do at that point is be subservient and keep your mouth shut. And I know y'all don't want to hear that. But if somebody took on all them kids, man, listen. I had to tell a woman that recently. She's probably listening. Same thing, 3 kids, but with different men. 3 kids, 3 different men. And got another man now who's interested in and acting like, well, I don't know. I said, look here, man. If that guy was dumb enough to get with you, you better play your cards right. Play your cards right. 3 kids, 3 different men. You got another one, man. Play your cards right. Shut up and just go along with it. Please. You don't want me to have that conversation you don't want me to have an unwed mother conversation. But let me just tell you this. Try to make sure your daughters don't have children before they're in committed relationships that they're going to stay in. Stop thinking that stuff is cute because you want to be a grandparent. You are really devaluing your children. And like I said earlier, the age that a woman has her first child is the age that she crystallizes at. That's the age that she crystallizes. So, you know, if you have your first child at 23 and you're with a certain man, he knows how to deal with you at 23. He knows how to operate and engage you. Now you go get with another man, but you still, let's say if the first man's name was Marcus, you had a baby with Marcus at 23. And then you go get with another guy, let's say, I don't know, Rico. You go get with Rico now. And now let's say you're 28, but you still have the Marcus imprinted 23-year-old mentality. But now you're trying to deal with Rico, and you know what? It's not going to work. It never seems to work. Can't seem to get it right because you've already imprinted and formed yourself. He's left his imprint on you through that child. You've already imprinted and formed yourself to the shape of Marcus. And at 23, but you're 28 years old now, no longer with Marcus, or at least you're saying that. Oh, we ain't together. We don't even talk. But he's still present. He's present in your womb. He's present in your spirit. He's still grasping your form. That's why after that, you can't seem to make any relationship work. You'll get pregnant again. You'll have more babies, but it still won't work for some reason. And you'll think that if I have a baby with this next guy, then I can really release the whole of Marcus. But Marcus is still there. You guys got to learn something about that. I know we live in a society where we teach that the woman is the goddess and all of that other jazz, and no matter how many babies she had is cool because they all come through that same birth canal, and but a woman gets imprinted upon, and the age that she has her first child, she stays at that age, and it's perfectly fine for a man who's the one who's been with her or who's impregnated her. It's perfectly fine. But when she starts moving around the other men, it creates confusion. And that's why those unwed mothers can never seem to make their relationships work, at least peacefully. And it gets deeper. I don't want to get into it because I know for a fact y'all ain't ready for that conversation. There's going to be too many feelings hurt on that one. Maybe I'll get into that some other way, some other time. I'll find out a slick angle to talk about it, but y'all really ain't ready for that one. But I'm just going to say, stop encouraging your daughters to be unwed mothers. You're doing way more damage than you could ever imagine, especially when they're teenagers, 16, 17 years old, having babies, but not staying with the father. Now you got years later, you got a 35, 40-year-old, 16-year-old on your hands. That's why at 35, 30, 40 years old, she's still throwing temper tantrums whenever she gets upset. She's still jealous like a child. Most times she doesn't even explore any interests beyond her childhood interests, beyond going to the mall, movies, Netflix, whatever. That's it. Because she's crystallized at that age. You ruined her. So again, if somebody is dumb enough to come along and say, well, come on, you got 4 or 5 children by another man, I still want you. Man, keep your mouth shut and go along with the program. Shasha says, my mom said we, 5 children, didn't understand unless there was a Ross and a Fuck in the sentence. Probably. Every family has their own language, man. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's possible. You know, but different children are different too, man. Some of my youth I talk to like that, man, they're cracking half. I can't do that. Other ones, they only understand a punch to the chest or a slap to the back of the head. Then okay, over there. They don't even respond like, like, ow. They just like, that's just like, yeah, I know this sounds messed up. It's like beating a horse. It's like, giddy up. You gotta slap in the back of the head. I told you put the bricks over there, not over there. Your other left. Bow. Oh, left is on this side, right is on that side. Okay. Or you have them working on their bicycle. You tell them lefty loosey, righty tighty. They're trying to tighten something, turn it to the left. Bow, hit him in the back of the head. All of a sudden the ratchet starts spinning the other way. Okay, got it, Bob. Thanks. Every child is different, man. You know what I mean? So I can't really I can't speak to that. Michelle says, Chief, does this fully apply when the baby is aborted within weeks? Yeah, absolutely. Fully applies when the baby is aborted within weeks. Because you look at your language. You already answered your question. Does this fully apply when the baby? So you're already admitting that there was a baby. You already admitted that you were pregnant. You made a life. Done. I know, and it sounds so extreme. I know it does, but you know what? Because ignorance is implanted and ingested into us by the society in very extreme ways. Everything. I mean, look at right now your faucets. You have poison circulating all through your house and posturing itself as water. Right? Now, how extreme is that? You have electrical outlets all around your house creating electromagnetic grid that's currently radiating your entire body, giving you cancer. And you're just sitting in your house listening to a show. Like, I'm minding my own business here. All I wanted was a little electricity. You see, we live in an extreme space, I'm telling you. So a lot of times, again, when someone pokes their head up and says, hold on, like Tyrese did, hold on, wait a minute. Y'all actually kind of look like clowns. Everyone goes crazy because it speaks against the whole status quo. And again, I will just say, not agreeing or disagreeing, but I only looked at his delivery, and the way people received it. But the words that he said, yeah, I completely agree. And he was right, man. He dropped some loving jewels this year. Y'all got to be able to recognize the love when it comes, because he knew when he typed that stuff up that it was going to be a problem. He knew that. Tyrese is from Watts. He from the hood. He knows how sisters are. He knew they weren't going to be feeling that statement. But that's why he even said in there, this is solutions. You're applying temporary solutions And you're getting temporary men or temporary guys who want a temporary fix. And matter of fact, and he even said real men. He made a distinction between real men and the guys who were just trying to get one off with you. See, it's like I said earlier, you got to learn to listen. You know, before you respond emotionally, which is you responding outside of your soul doesn't respond with that. We call it non-judgmental because it just receives and accepts what is. So he makes the statement instead of saying, he talking about me. He talking about me. So what? I got to weave. And so what? But he wasn't talking about you. Unless, you know, he was talking about a condition. That's what he was talking about, a condition. And really more so a mental condition. And he was trying to explain to you, this is why you're having some of the problems you're having. You're manufacturing yourself and trying to apply temporary fixes. Like Maria said earlier, you know, eat differently, work out. And you might do all of those things and still be big and fat or still be skinny with no booty and no whatever. So let me add let me add that part into it. You know, you may not go work out and then have that body, the same body that you would get, you know, through cosmetic alteration or, you know, you got these real sterilized terms, cosmetic enhancement, you know, but you may not receive those same things, but you'll receive what you have. And let me tell you something as a man. I mean, I've been speaking as a man, but I'm going to give you the man's full perspective. We like what you like. And I'm explaining what that means so you can really get it. I don't have a type of woman that I like. I like all of y'all. Skinny, fat, in the middle, tall, short. Well, short, and I'm warming up to short women. But tall, short, whatever. It doesn't matter. I like women, period. Okay. Now that's a place that you want to aspire towards, men. You want to get to the place where you don't have a type. Now, genetically, there's certain things I look for if I'm going to reproduce with you. I only like to reproduce with certain types of women. You know, so when it comes to offering, you know, fertilizing a woman's egg, I only want to fertilize certain territory. Okay. So genetically, yeah, I do have certain things, but that's the scientist in me. You know, there's certain things that I may like about my own genetics that I don't necessarily want to mess with or throw out, you know, or there's certain things I don't like that I would like the chance of having in my bloodline. Right. But as men, and ladies, please really understand this. If you love it, we love it. I've been with women who were emaciated, had the bodies of 8-year-old boys, but they loved their shape. They loved their body, you know, and they would like talk about it like it was the greatest thing in the world. Yeah, wait till you know, I'm not going to say it on the air. This ain't, you know, Chief After Dark. But, you know, wait till I do this and give, you know, and you start thinking like, huh, you know what? I think I do like pancake booties. Huh. And come to think of it, I don't really think I like breasts. I like the fact that you only have nipples. I got a new type that I like because you made me like it because of your love for yourself, because your confidence. I've been with bigger women. I was with a woman, I could say because it was hidden, but she had this tattoo on it that said big and sexy, right? And she was, though. She was one of them big, shapely women, though. You know, like had an hourglass shape, but she was big and she's tall. It's like 5'10". And very confident. You know what I mean? Like very confident, you know, but huge. I mean, had like these size H breasts. You know what I mean? Like you'd be on top of her and your legs would be in the air. You know, you could just like lay out straight like you were on one of those balls in the gym, a workout ball, you know. But she was so like, yeah, I know, it's good, ain't it? Yeah, you know, she had one of those type of energies, so it'd make you say, you know what, huh? Yeah, you go back through the, I think I like fat girls, huh? I don't know. You know what? I don't think I like skinny girls with no butt and no thing anymore. I used to like that, but now I like big and sexy. You know, so I'm telling you, men have a degree. We're programmable too, believe it or not. We're programmable. You know, in the same way that I speak about women, you know, a man leaves his imprint. A woman's power is her sexuality. I tell you guys that all the time. But a lot of times women are not taught to own it. They don't own their sexuality. They don't claim their sexuality. So it starts to get perverted before they can even enjoy it. You see, so before young girls can even enjoy, you know, I love kinky hair. You know, I have a problem with it. You know what I mean? I love all textures of hair. I love straight hair. I love kinky hair. I love, you know, curly hair, whatever. As long as it's on a woman, I love it. That's the point I'm making. You know, but before she even gets an opportunity to enjoy it and maybe even to see that reflected in the world chronicle, in world history, you know, and see that, oh, there were people who looked like me who did this or this, that. She's immediately given a standard where she has to now start to twist and conform to something that doesn't make sense. She's 12, 13 years old. All the other girls in class, and they breasts done came in. She looking down at her shirt. Man, when my breasts gonna come in? Well, let's look at Buffy the Body, who does take butt shots, so maybe a bad example. But let's look at Buffy the Body or Tracy Ellis Ross. Do we ever talk about her breasts? No, ain't nobody thinking about her breasts. Even take Serena Williams, right? Nobody talks about her breasts. She's got big breasts, but we ain't thinking about that. So, but then it might be other women where Dolly Parton, you're looking at her breasts. What's the other chick? Kim Whitley, who always has her breast out. Those big giant things. I looked at her one time. I was watching a comedy special, man, and I could have sworn her breast started talking to me telepathically. I swear. And I'm like, I bet you there's honey inside of her breast. I bet you anything, Kim Whitley, there's honey inside of her breast. But anyway, so there's so many different body shapes and body styles to get excited about, you know, to enjoy and to love. But a lot of times the standard is stamped on top of us. It's superimposed on top of us. Women don't even get an opportunity, or young girls. Let me not even say women, because this happens when you're a young girl. She doesn't even get an opportunity to determine and decide how she's going to present her sexuality, because it may not even be physical. It may not be a physical thing. It may be through her art. You know, it may be through acting. It may be through singing. It may be through poetry. It may be through dance. There may be so many different ways that she'll present the value and the strength and the force of her sexuality. For most indigenous women, they present their sexuality in a healthy way through dance. That's why whenever you look at artwork or pictures, notice what you always see the women doing: dancing. Even if they're carrying water, dancing. Carrying children, dancing. Farming and dancing. Because dancing for women is a sign of release and freedom from an oppressive system. When they're able to dance, it has a symbolic meaning to it. There's a lot of power in the sensual allure and pull of a woman's dance. You see? How many of you take your young daughters out and let them dance, let them be free? Even your daughters who ain't got any rhythm. Because some of them can't dance that great. You know, but that's a part of femininity. Now, boys may not want to dance, you know, because they have a different kind of expression, but everyone has to have their sense of ownership and expression from an oppressive system. Everyone has to have their tools to get out, you see. And a lot of times we don't teach that to our young girls. We let society teach it. This is what sexy is. How the heck you gonna tell me what sexy is? And then sometimes even as young men, when we find something that's sexy, we're afraid to express it to other young men, what we actually find sexy. Braces. I used to think braces was the sexiest thing on a girl. I don't know why. I still don't know to this day. But there's something cute about braces. They make your breath stink and all that, but there's something cute about them, right? That's my thing. But there's other things. And, there's a whole rainbow. So now that gives the woman with the braces an opportunity to say, okay, well, I have a lane. Me and Tootie from Facts of Life and stuff, we got our lane, before society says, well, you got to look this way, you got to look that way, you got to look that way. I know some men who like flat behinds because they say it gives them better access to the vagina. Obviously, they have little penises. Let me stop. Because there's a lane for little penises. All right? Okay? There's a lane there. They need to have a flag for men with little penises so they can identify themselves. You can put it in the back of your car. Little penis on board. But the point I'm saying is that, again, sometimes we don't receive, or we don't take the opportunity to explore our expression of sexuality. I remember one time in the studio, a singer said that to me. I was working on like it was like a club song. It was a remix actually with the singer. She's well known in the UK, and I was working on it, and she said, "You have a strong sexual energy about you," and I'm like, "Okay, all right." Like I didn't. We doing music, man. I'm not hearing you right now. Anyway, and she was like, "No, really. You have a really strong. Like I could tell. You have a lot of sexual force behind you." And she was saying, "Why don't you put more of that into your music?" She wasn't saying it like, "Come on over here and handle this," but she was saying like, "You should put that in your music." And I said to her, we actually got to have a conversation. This was years ago, and I was like, "Well, you know what? I've kind of been told that before." But honestly, it's something that at that time I was a little ashamed about, because of my socialization. Men are dogs and men are this and that. And not that I was, a dog or anything. I didn't have control over my sexuality, but it was the idea that people could feel it made me ashamed. Like a girl. How many young girls are like that? Some of them are just sexy. Like you got some women, and it's not about how pretty they are or their shape or whatever. They just have this sex appeal about them. And I'm not saying I'm sexy. She was talking about sexy energy. All right. I got to do all these clarifications, man, because this is kind of a weird area. But she was saying you should put more of that energy into your music. It would be really interesting. So I'm like, what I should booty clap on a drum machine or something. You know what I mean? Like, be butt naked, in the studio playing the guitar with my schlong. But she we talked about it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try it, and I did on some cuts. I just kind of allowed that energy to flow. Not that I was butt naked with candles in the studio or anything, but just allowed that energy instead of constricting it, gave it a place to go. You see, so how many young girls are taught that your expression of sexuality doesn't mean that you have to go and have physical intercourse. It doesn't mean that it needs to be that. But there are other ways to express that energy, like through dance, like through yoga. There were certain things that were given to women specifically so that they can ground out that energy. A lot of times we don't get opportunities to ground. One of the reasons is because we walk on pavement all day with rubber sneakers on. What does rubber do? It insulates. So you have all this energy built up in you, and we're designed to walk on the earth where we can ground out and send our electricity and send our energy down into the planet. How many of you get to do that? I know some people who never take off their shoes, like even in the house. I had an elder like that. Every time I go over, I take my shoes. Man, take your shoes off in here, man. You ain't got to take your shoes off, But he never took his shoes off. You see? So I'm looking at him like, man, when do you ground? Well, and we're in the city. He lived in Queens at the time. I used to go visit him stuff. I used to take him shopping on the strong end sometimes. And I come in and he'd be like, man, we leaving. You ain't got to be doing all that stuff. You ain't back in Timbuktu. He's always said, you ain't back in Timbuktu. Put shoes back on. So that means, Baba, you never grounded. You're never sending that energy back out through the earth and receiving energy back up through the earth. Even when you use your cane, because a cane might give you an opportunity. because it's your hand is touching the wood is touching the floor. But you don't even get an opportunity to do it then, because what's on the bottom of the cane? A piece of rubber. You better off just getting a copper pipe from Home Depot and just walking around with that and using that as the cane, because copper is a conduit for electricity. You'd be able to ground yourself if you just held the copper pipe and put it in the ground, or use that as your cane. You might get electrocuted, but hey, man, there's a risk and everything. So I'm just saying, a lot of times we don't have those opportunities to reflect the fullness of what we are, and then it's co-opted by society for us. So some of the things that Tyrese was saying, and I understand some of the sisters saying, well, his wife doesn't look like that. You don't know why his wife doesn't look like that, because I'm gonna tell you something, and then I'm gonna go. I'll read maybe another comment, then I'll go. For most of you sisters who are having difficulty and you feel like you get us by the manufactured look, it's not the look that's spurning us away. It's your mentality. That's what's spurning us away. Who doesn't want Michonne? Some of you know who Michonne is from The Walking Dead. But who doesn't want Michonne? Or Lupita? What guy in his foolish mind would say no to her? If she was in the bedroom, hey, I'm gonna give you a shot, Playboy. Who would say no? You see? A lot of guys are even into Erykah Badu, even though she wears wigs and stuff, so maybe she's not. But when Lauryn Hill was popping and she had the locks and everything, who would say no to Lauryn Hill? It's not the look. I'm telling you, you're thinking it's the look. It's not that. Because especially amongst melanoid women, you're the only women on the planet that can look good when you're unhealthy. I'm attracted to health, but most men aren't like that. You're the only woman that can look good, scrawny, obese, and we'll still be like, yeah, I would. Yo, you do big girl over? Yeah, I do big girl over there. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's not the look. It's the attitude. It's the way you're thinking. It's the culture that you've taken on, and the culture that you're completely trying to co-opt and be a part of, that oppresses who and what we are. Why would we want to be a part of that? Why would we want to be in the midst of that? Like let's say if I was even trying to court the sister yesterday, and she was like, yeah, these men, there's no good men out here, and women got to raise their thing and stuff like that. Why would I want to be a part of someone who says something like that while you're on the phone with me? There's no good men out here. So what are you saying about me? I'm telling you. So Shamika says, so Chief, you're basically saying Oshun every part of your body. Huh? Yeah, I would say that. Yeah. Oshun every part of your body. But it's not so much as that. It's not so much like if I see a woman or men, we're talking about men in general, and you're over there like rubbing olive oil on your corn and your bunion. Like, oh, I love my corn and my bunion. Don't you? No, babe. No, I don't. Here, put these socks on. I got these socks for you. All right. Before I get in that bed, you're gonna put these socks on. It's not so much that. It's the a lot of times, Shamika, women don't know how to wield their sexuality. Remember, your power is in your sexuality, right? So it's very similar to a man's penis, right? There's certain ways that we have to wield the penis. It's not as simple as just, okay, get an erection, put it inside, the vajiji, and, and then next thing you know, everybody's going to have fun. We have to learn how to actually use it. We have to learn how to actually present it in a way where you're actually going to enjoy their experience. And sometimes that even begins with before we're even having intercourse. I used to work with this guy, Eric. I'm gonna say his name. I won't say his last name. But we were both VPs at this cables communication company that they sold out anyway years ago. And Eric, we were like let me see. Yeah. We were the only two brothers. Wow. Yeah, we were the only two brothers in the company, actually. And he was higher up than I was. But real cool, down to earth, and appropriate brother. Like, he used to listen to, I remember back then Eminem was out. And he used to listen to Eminem in his office, like blasting. And the Chronic 2001 had come out around that time. And he would play that in his office, like top volume, And he used to wear like a lot of cologne too. Like, you knew when Eric came in, he'd walk by, you smell it, but just real cool dude, extra friendly. Used to bring his children to work, all kind of inappropriate stuff, you know. And he used to do this thing where he would go to like the different secretaries' desk and he would basically put his penis on their shoulders, and he would stand in a way, like he would tighten his butt cheeks and push his crotch out. And he would do this all the time. And I'd be sitting there watching, like I'd walk by and he'd be, like he's looking at something over her shoulder, her computer. And then he would just lean back and just put his joint, on him. And I'm saying, okay, maybe it's me. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm maybe I'm just looking for something funny to think about in this dry behind environment. Until one day, one of the administrative assistants talked to me about it. And she was like, oh my God, Eric with the cologne and the penis thing. She didn't say the penis, she used another word. I was like, what are you talking about? And, I wasn't co-signing because, it's my brother. I'm trying to get him fired. I was like, what you talking about? She was like, he does this thing all the time where he comes over and he puts his DICK like right on my back. Like I can feel it and everything. And I'm like, oh, okay. I knew I wasn't crazy, but this was probably his way of, his foreplay, so it's the same way. I'm saying, Shamika, I need to call Eric, see what he's up to. Probably somewhere right now. Let's see, it's 9, almost 10. Yeah, because he's coming late every day, about 10 o'clock. He's probably somewhere with his penis on some woman's shoulder blade right now on her delt. But a woman has to learn how to even wield her body parts in that sense. And she gets that sense of body consciousness a lot of times through movement, like dance, yoga, even Reiki and things like that, where she understands that each part is a projection. So it's not just about loving every part of yourself, saying, okay, my fingertips, they teach you that in different therapy classes. Even in some of the Tantra classes, they'll do that. They'll have you rub oil on your hands and things like that and love every part. And that's cool, but that's some fluffy stuff. But I'm speaking about, what is the projection power of your hips? What are the projection power of your legs, of your breast, of your stomach? What is, even if I'm talking about, even if you don't have abs, what does each one mean? You see? And when you start to dive a little bit into the male psychology, you get a better sense of how we interpret each one of those things, what each one means. A leg to us can mean something different than a shoulder. Or some women have really beautiful shoulders. Probably didn't even know that we might look at a shoulder. Some women have, like, you look at Hawaiian women, they have those like nice round, but you never see a Hawaiian woman with abs. They all have those little pouches, but they're like beautiful. They're soft and they're round. Now, again, you look at the standard, the European, I should say, beauty aesthetic. A Hawaiian would be like, oh, you got to tighten that up. Get a tummy tuck. But it's beautiful. You see, each thing means something else. It represents something else. Like Marie was talking about earlier, like, yeah, the women wear those, I guess, trainers, they're called, to hide the rolls. Some women, you might look at the rolls and there's something kind of sexy about it, depending on what the rolls may mean to you, how they may have gotten there. I went through that once with a sister where she was really stressed out for years, and we had linked up, and she went from like she was 5'8", she went from like 150 to like darn near 200 pounds. Like in like 2 months. It was like a really short distance. Because one day we were somewhere and I saw the rolls like in her back, and she was just like real wide. Her coat was like, stretched out. And I was like, how much do you weigh now? And she was like, I don't even want to tell you. She was like, I gained so much, I don't even want to tell you. I was like, come on, you can tell me, I don't care. She was like, yeah, I'm like 198. But it was beautiful to me, for me personally, because she actually had a child that had died, and she was crushed. When she started working with me, I can say she was practically suicidal. She didn't say that, but I could tell. So to see her now gain all this weight, she's enjoying herself more and getting more into life. And, I'd say, well, that's beautiful. So, there's a context to everything. And again, you learn that within the context of your own community. You see, I'm going to read a couple more comments and then I'm going to get out of here. I had a little time this morning because I didn't have any appointments early. So I was able to kick it with you all a little bit longer than I normally do. Actually, I plan on being out of here at 8, but it's cool. So Shamika also said, yes, we have to learn sexuality is a healthy aspect of our being. I had to work through that shame as well. Shame of what, Shamika? Are you saying that you're so Shamika, so you're saying you're sexy and you were ashamed about being sexy? Are you telling us that? I'm messing with Shamika, everybody, by the way. Not messing with her like that. I'm joking with her. Michelle says, yes, if you know it, you will see it. If you love it, it will show up being loved. Good point. That's the quote right there. If you love it, it will show up being loved. So you have to think what came first, the beautiful body or the beautiful mind. Right, exactly. I'm telling you, you can make us really love things that you have. You don't have to get, if you got cellulite on your behind, and you're presenting that behind to us, we over there watching TV and you come over and you just lift your skirt up or whatever and you say, yeah, go ahead, touch it. I know you want to touch it. Go ahead, touch it. Or you give us a lap dance or just, something, whatever. I don't know, whatever you do. A man will start to like your cellulite behind. You got to listen to a man when he's telling you stuff. Like, sometimes a man, you might say, oh, I know my stomach is big. But man says, I like your stomach. Go with it. Because he might have had to muster up a lot of courage to even say that to you, because society tells us, brothers, not to like things like that. We get programmed too with the nonsense. Oh, you got to like a woman's breasts who stand up in the air. Come on, that's just not, that's unreasonable after a certain age. Or to think that she's not going to have cellulite, or maybe even a little pouch. Now that facial hair, y'all can pluck that. There's no excuse for that. All right. So that one, I'm not, I'm being kind and I'm giving you a pass on that. Some of y'all, and I understand some are hairier than others. So if you have to bring it down to a light 5 o'clock shadow, okay. But I've seen some sisters just like, screw it. Just let it go. That's unacceptable. Trim that up. Even if you get trim it up to a nice little goatee or something, trim it up. All right, so designs not defined says, Michelle, told my son what you said, and his response was, oh, so you gave me all that honey to make this big. That's funny. Okay. Marvin says, oh, I get that. This is why when I was military personnel, my major told me one day out of the blue, you can get anything you want. And I wondered what he meant. You know what he meant. You know what he meant. You had to play ball, no pun intended, but you had to play ball. A woman's power is in her sexuality. I've said it before. Come on, you gotta check what I'm saying. A woman's power is in her sexuality. Your power is not in your ability to even join the military and shoot guns and all. No, it's in your sexuality. Explore that. Because you see, there's a slide in the show. The vagina trumps all. You can't get around the vagina. You can't get around it. But it's ignored. That's the sad part. It's ignored. The actual power of the womb, not even the womb, forget all that for a second. Sexuality. And all women have it. All women. This is why crackheads make money when they hoe. You would think that a man wouldn't sleep with a crackhead, and you probably think, oh, because he just horny. No, because even a crackhead can have sexuality, the power of sexuality, and make herself a quick $20 or more. You know, some crackheads, if you out on the stroll, man, they make $200-300 a day. Now, I'm not, encouraging you all to smoke crack. Crack is whack. But what I'm saying is that all women have it. It's primal. And it doesn't go away just because you're 50 or 60 or 70 years old. It doesn't go away. All individuals on the planet have a primal desire to procreate. But we start to trick ourselves out of it. We get to a certain age, you still want to procreate. And there's different forms of procreation. Sexuality doesn't end. And it doesn't just begin because you went to the gym for 2 years and now, you're jacked. Okay, so now I can explore my sexuality. You'll have more fun in the gym when you're body conscious. Matter of fact, there's a sister, Deanna, right? Strong Mind, Strong Body Fitness, who posts videos on Instagram. Y'all should follow her, little workout videos. And I caught some of them in the dawning because I wake up very early. So I noticed she posts them in the dawning. And what I've noticed, and I'm not saying this is your full workout, Deanna. I don't want to step on your your business. But I've noticed, very similar to Maria's husband, Aaron, I've noticed a lot of body weight exercises. Okay. You see a woman doing body weight exercises, pull up. You better, she has a sense of control over her own body. I tell my youth that all the time. I got, one of my youth has got a fight coming up, this strong and coming. And I told him, you got to get off the weights, no weights, which I'm not a big proponent of anyway. But I've always been into body weight exercises because I can't control you if I can't control myself. I can't handle, especially in a fight, you got to know how to handle the other opponent. I can't handle this other massive person if I can't handle my own mass. You see, so I have to have that sense of body consciousness. Now that goes straight across the board, even into your spirituality. That's why we deal with Ori. I can't handle these other spirits if I can't handle my own. I can't handle your sexuality if I haven't managed my own yet. I'm already going out, I'm talking about you women, and manufacturing and altering myself to appease to what I think your model of sexuality is, and I haven't even mastered my own yet. Because 9 times out of 10, what you're doing, we don't even want anyway. It's very similar to men who have, or males who have addictions to porno. You're thinking that this is what women want, and you don't understand. No, this is what guys want, or what they think guys want. But you try to, there's times to sex like a porno star. But for the most part, a woman is not going to call you over because the air conditioner went out and then not have the money to pay you and then say, is there something else I can do for you? And then all of a sudden the music's going to start and she's just going to strip and just coincidentally, I just had these anal beads inside of my behind all day because it was hot. So I put the anal beads in the freezer, then put them in my behind to cool off. So let's do it. And then just coincidentally, the man's just like, yeah, and I just happened to have a completely shaved pubic area. Yeah, totally shaved. It's not realistic. You see what I'm saying? It's like Glenn by the dumpster. Come on, if you got that many walkers on top, you're not coming out of that. So it's the same thing here with this. A lot of times we don't take time because we don't speak. We don't speak to each other to find out what exactly excites us. And that's where the beauty and some of the fun in our sexuality and our appreciation of our aesthetic, whether it be our indigenous aesthetic or not, that's where it becomes fun, because you start to learn what each person, what their expression is and what each person likes. You see, that's the key. You may talk to me like I'll give you an example. Some women enjoy men that can play instruments. And they'll, so I've had women come to my space and say, "Oh, you have a piano. Oh, there's a guitar here. Play me something." I'm always like, "No, I'm not performing for you. Get out of here." But I do understand it. So I'm advising other men. Don't be like me. I'm just, because I like being contrary. I ain't playing nothing. I look like. But there's different things that excite different people, and I'm gonna tell you, there's nothing like the expression of a gift to excite a person. You get more sexual excitement from that than anything else. I'm trying to give you a sense of that, ladies. And I'm kind of, I guess, in some sense, giving a part two to what brother Tyrese said, because I stand behind him. I know a lot of people are kicking his back in, but that's kind of the problem sometimes. There's a lack of sisterhood, there's a lack of brotherhood. And even though I'm saying that, yeah, maybe it wasn't for him to say, I'm not sure. Maybe it wasn't for him to say, or to say it that way or whatever. But you know what? Now that we've gotten over that, are we over that yet? Now that, okay, he said it, was it true? Well, let's work on that for a second. Because if it was true, then basically, some are a laughing stock. And we don't want to be a laughing stock anymore, do we? Right? Just like when women say things about us, we may say it in a way we don't like it. Yeah, these guys need to such and such because they da 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 da. It may not sound good, but okay, is there any truth to it? Listen to what they're actually saying. There may be some value in it. You got to pay attention to that stuff, man. But like I said, we all have a unique expression of our sexuality, and there's no uniform thing that all guys like. I can't speak for females. I really don't know. I'm gonna guess they all like something different, because I know I sure enough have heard some of the weirdest things. I've heard women say, "Oh, you got little ears. Oh, your ears are so little. Oh, I'm like, whoa, my ears? Seriously?" All this money I spent on this jewelry and my ears. But everybody likes something different. Some women get excited, by the mental. Some men get excited. Sapiosexuals is what they're called. They get excited by a person's mental acumen and their mental acrobatics, and that's one level too. So there's so many different things, and we have to get to know each other and explore each other. And I'm telling you, it becomes fun. It really becomes fun. But this is really women's arena. I'm telling you, this is women's arena. Yes, artists too. Just look at Justin. He got the, I'm an artist, and yes, artists too. Yeah. Okay. So you say just the artist is sexy? Is what you're saying? But yeah, any kind of art, man. And there's so many different forms of it, man. But like I said, don't let anybody co-opt what you perceive, or what you perceive of yourself, or think we want from you, or vice versa. Get to know people, and then you'll find that that's the individualization and the impression that we leave upon each other. Because I can tell you from relationship to relationship, and I bet you all can attest to this, each person may have had something that made them sexually or sensually attractive to you, and the other person may have something similar, that you may be with another person later, but it doesn't do it for you. So you start to understand that there's an individual expression there. Like, I like women who know a lot about health. To me, that's very sexy. And the more she knows, the sexier she is. I don't mean just look. I mean women who go in. Like, well, this herb is for this, but this, and in medical journal, they said this month this, but I don't necessarily agree with that, because I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna tear that thing up. Now, some guys would be like, what? She's just talking about fruits and berries, but I like health. And it's because of my culture. I'm always thinking survivalism, man. We get caught out in the middle of the woods or something, economic collapse, invasion. You're gonna want a sister in the woods with you, man, who's healthy enough to run, and who can point out food on the ground. Don't worry, we ain't gonna starve. We got this, we got that. Oh, you got cut, don't worry. You got, to me, that's attractive. Now that's my unique expression. You see, everybody has something different. So explore that even within yourself. Look at yourself, and not just visually, but take personal inventory and think about the things that you want to enjoy or can enjoy, regardless of what, within a vacuum, even what society says you should be enjoying. And then I guarantee you, trust me, your partner or your would-be partner will enjoy it as well. They will, because that's the way it happens, man. The first girl that guys have sex with usually sets their standard. As usually, she could have been scrawny. She could have been 75 pounds. You gonna like scrawny girls. If she was big, you gonna like thick girls. And you may, again, kind of vacillate between different types or whatever that you may enjoy. But if she enjoys herself, you enjoy her. And again, that's a message to the women, like I said, as a part 2. And you can even look in the chat room. There's a whole lot of agreement and there what I'm saying. So I'm not making this up. I'm telling you, I'm not making it up. I'm only here to help you in that. And definitely the idea that some women may be pushing themselves far beyond natural levels of comfort, or I should even say natural levels of discomfort, in order to align with an aesthetic that we never even asked for. Conscious men. Now a Negro, he gonna ask for anything stupid. Don't go by that. A Negro's a wild card. He wants something different from day to day. Negroes are always the wild card. But a conscious individual, no, we're telling you what we want, man. We want you freed up. There's nothing sexy. I'm gonna tell you the sexiest thing that you could be: a woman who's living out her purpose. Okay. Yeah, Bamboo says women dancers get me there. Yeah, I love certain kind of dance though. Like if she's like doing hip hop dance or something, I ain't really. But yeah, I feel you on the dancing thing. Which lets you know something. Again, the movement, the dance, because dance is a woman's time for freedom. I'm gonna give you all a name before I get off, because this has been a super extended show. I'm gonna give you a name, Chica De Silva. Chica De Silva. Okay. Character that I have always really gotten a lot out of in terms of feminine power. When you hear me say things like a woman's power is a sexuality, I learned a lot of that from studying Chica De Silva. And Chica De Silva is a figure in Brazil. In fact, if you look, there was a film that was done on her. And be careful, I'm gonna tell you why in a second. But you'll see it spelled Xica Da. So the first word is Xica. Second word is Da. The last word is Silva, which is Silva. But it's pronounced like Chica. So sometimes you see Chica, Chica, but in Brazil, it's spelled with an X, but it's pronounced Chica. And her full name was Francisca De Silva de Oliveira, I think it was named, or Oliveira. Yeah, something like that, Oliveira. But she was Brazilian, and she was a woman who was born into the slave trade, or the slave system in Brazil, and she later, became free, and she's known as pretty much like, I don't know how many of you are familiar with her, but she's pretty much known as like royalty in a sense in Brazilian culture. And there was even a film by that same name that was done on her, and there was also a TV show in Brazil, Chica De Silva, that was out for a while. Now, the reason I'm telling you to be careful, some years ago, because I have the film on DVD and VHS tape, but I have to tell you something. Some years ago, I went to download it. I was trying to do my whole cleanup of my physical mediums, and I downloaded a film, Chica da Silva, and I said, "Oh, this must have been a new version of it." So I started watching it, and within about 4 minutes, I realized it was a porno. So there's a Brazilian porno, and it's set up in this, which is it's really a foul porno. But some of you are real perverted, so you'll probably like it anyway. But it was really set up in a foul way because remember she was born on a plantation. So the porno is her as a slave having sex with the slave makers. Her and a bunch of the other slave women. There's a bunch of them, and they're having sex with the slave makers. So just be careful when you download it. I saw that one and it said like I thought it was a different version, like with maybe with like English sub, because the ones I have the English subtitles. So I was like, oh, they must have did the English sub version. Cool. Went to download this freaking porno. So be careful on that one if you try to sit down and watch it with the kiddies. But yeah, her life. I always found her as a very interesting study subject, and I'm gonna tell you what brought it back to me. Some time ago, someone actually did a dissertation where they cited some of my teachings, and in that they also spoke about it was a dissertation about Oshun, and they had included the name of Chica in it. So I said, "Oh, that's kind of cool." But they were quoting me and quoted a huge section out of my book on Oshun and some of my teachings and stuff like that. They gave me credit, so it was cool. But that's how somebody found it and was like, "Oh, another paper where they quoted you." But she's a great example of feminine power. Okay, so if you look at and of course, because it's been made into a show and a movie, it's kind of it's romanticized. Of course, it's plantation, but what they show you is that how she used her sexuality to basically maneuver her into position, but not just like straight up, okay, I'm gonna go have sex with the slave maker, but her flirtations, being able to use her power of attraction, and most importantly, her power of dance. So when you see the beginning of it, you see that she's dancing and stuff like that. And what she basically is able to do, like she speaks to the slave makers in a way that nobody else can, because she uses the power of her sexuality to pretty much subdue them. So you start to see, and again, romanticize. So I'm not saying this is it's not it's not exact. It's not, I wouldn't say it's probably totally historically accurate, but it is based off of her real life. And there was a book also. I had read the book, and that's what led me to the movies. But like I said, maybe if you look on YouTube, you probably can find some episodes of the old TV show. I don't know if they're in English or not, but like I said, I went to a site and I'm like, oh, bet. I was all excited. I was like, man, I didn't think I was gonna find this. I'm talking about porno. And the worst kind of porno. Like who comes up with an idea? Oh, we're gonna have slaves. Some of them even being raped. That's a point. That's gonna turn. Well, I know who came up with it. But anyway, so yeah, so she combats a lot of the brutalities of racism and even the sexual colonialism that that particular society had brought to her people. And of course she was a mistress and she was a concubine, but even in that positioning, she was offered certain privileges, but without even being sexual, she was able to dominate to some degree her slave makers through her own ability of expressing her sexuality outside of her sexual labor. She was able to make sure her family survived and things like that. So she's a really, really, really good representation of that Oshun energy. Yeah, because that's the Oshun story right there. Like when you read about Oshun having to become a prostitute and things like that, that is the Oshun story. But it also shows you the sexuality that African women embody. And that even in the science of their dance and their movement, or you have figures even like the Jezebel, you know, or mammy. Because a lot of times when we talk about mammy, we always picture like she's big mama, scarf on her head, big breast down to her knees. She's big and wide. You think the slave makers weren't having sex with her? You know, they have to depict her like that to make their women feel comfortable. That's why Tyra Banks will never be as big as Oprah Winfrey. Because Oprah Winfrey is the modern day, she's the mammy figure. You see, you know, you can't be on stage and making people feel like you look better than them. So when they depict those old mammies back in, oh, she's just big and huge and fussing all over the place. Y'all come clean this floor, and I don't know nothing about birthing no babies. You know, they have to do that. But you know, no, it wasn't like that, man. You know, there's a power of sexuality that exists even within a black dancing body, male or female. And you have to look from a metaphorical perspective with that dancing and moving figure represents and the intelligence of the cunningness of a black dancing body, the intelligence of that attractiveness, and how within that dance there's a full ambition and aspiration to gain power. She's not just dancing because she likes movement. She's dancing for the attainment to obtain and manipulate a power relationship between her and those who are dominating her. Check it out. I'm just gonna say that. Check it out. Chica De Silva. There's not a lot of information on her. I don't think. Maybe now, you know, if you search the internet or whatever. But I came into her from a different kind of thing, so I didn't get a lot with it. But I think for men and women, she's good to check out. But for men as well, because sometimes through the hypezation of the female form through media and through these sick procedures, honestly, men, we lose our appreciation for the female form. And sometimes the subtle aspects of the female form. We lose our appreciation for it because, you know, in America, it's all about being over the top and bigger is better and all that other foolishness. And sometimes it's the subtle art and the subtle lines that are most gorgeous, you know, and that's you becoming a connoisseur again. You know, like you got to become a connoisseur of the form. You know, like you got dudes who like with diamonds, man. I got guys I know they walk around with the little magnifying glasses. They're just a connoisseur of diamonds. You got to be like a connoisseur of butts and breasts. Have like a little magnifying glass. But I'm just saying, I'm joking with it. But you know, you have to kind of get back into that mode, and then you'll really appreciate the nuances of one another. And I would say the same probably for women, although I do see women do that pretty often. You know, someone like even Deanna just said, a man's mental without too much ego is very attractive, and his hands. I've heard that one a lot. I noticed when she said hands because I've heard that like women like sometimes are turned on by hands. Right. So there's obviously a whole meaning behind that, you know, why the hands. I've also heard forearms. Some women are very turned on by a man's forearms, you know, if he rolls his sleeves up or something like that, you know. All of that means something in terms of the female psychology and the male psychology. So that's some of the stuff we have to reclaim is our original psychology without the imposition of what society is telling you. You got to go over the top, long hair and weaves and all that, you know, if that's what you want. But some of us are not moved by that. Some of us want something a little bit different. And even if you're going to do all of that with the weaves and with the this and with that, okay, even if you're going to do all of that, I'm telling you, if you invest first in ownership of your own sexuality first, it'll make all that stuff just the more powerful, if that's what you still want to do. Although some of us we're not interested at all. Once we see certain things, we don't even want you, you know. But I will say that no matter where you're coming from, own it first before someone tries to own it. It's like culture. If you don't define it, it'll be defined for you. If you don't define the limits and the contours and the boundaries of your sexuality, someone will define it for you. And like I told you before, anything that this culture gives you is not for your benefit. It's only here to destroy you. So now this culture gives you an aesthetic that your own men are laughing at. I know it hurts. It doesn't feel good, but like I said, women are the world's suckers. Someone's playing you for a sucker. They're making a fool out of you. We don't want that. Y'all need to watch some 70s films. Back before, or watch some old videos from the 80s, some old love videos from the 80s. Although sad part is that even in the black community, especially the hip hop videos, all white girls in the videos, black girls isn't getting those gigs. But you look at some of those old videos and look at this old Whitney Houston video. What was it? I Get So Excited. Stephanie Mills had this in the video too, and she's singing, opens her mouth for a while. You see all them black fillings in the back of her mouth. Whitney Houston had them missing teeth in the back of her mouth. Things were a little bit more real. Now, she later got implants and stuff, but you go back and you start to absorb that type of aesthetic and learn where the appreciation can be for it, even though it may not be what you think aesthetically perfect looks like. There still can be appreciation for the form, male and female alike. There can be an appreciation for the form, and sometimes the sexual form or the sexual body projects itself outside of the actual apparent physical body. There's something else that's being projected. Like Deanna just said, a man's mental without too much ego. Well, what does that look like? Doesn't look like anything. It's a spiritual projection. It's a spiritual form. You see? So own all of your projections, man. All right. So I'm going to head out. I know that there's a lot of conversation back and forth. And, we went in. This has been a 3.5-hour show. 3.5-hour show. And everything that I said in this segment, I meant. So for those of you who listened even at the beginning and that tomfoolery and nonsense in the beginning, I mean that too. I mean it all, man. And things have to be said a certain way at certain times. And I don't care if people leave. I want you to always understand that, because I have integrity. I know what I'm saying is on point. And I'm not saying anything out of ego, out of anger, frustration, and I'm not saying anything out of emotion. See, that's what keeps it clear. That's what keeps it where it needs to be. If I was saying things out of emotion, then you'd have a problem. But sometimes you got to put some walls up, man. You gotta come on. That's about learning to respect your personal boundaries. I own my personal boundaries. Why do I own my personal boundaries? How do I own them? Because I created them. Society didn't create them for me. I created them. So I know when they're being trespassed upon. And I'm saying that not to and I, chief, when I'm saying the I and all that, I'm giving you something that I want you to have is too. You have to own your own personal boundaries. You create the contours of your personal boundaries, and then you'll be more clear when someone's trying to cross over to them, or when they keep kicking dirt on them, or they're violating them. And we call that self-respect. Because what is respect? To see the source. I'm seeing myself. I see my boundaries. I see them. I have self-respect. I have self-sight. I have self-awareness. So I understand what I'm doing, what I'm not doing, and when you're trying to metaphysically or alchemically make me into something I'm not. You see, you're trying to make me the oppressor, try to make me the predator, try to make me the abuser, or try to make me the victim, or whatever it is. Nah, you ain't gonna be able to do that, because I'm self-defined, self-aware, I have self-respect, and you're just not gonna be able to get that off. Try that somewhere else. And that goes across the board with everything that we're talking about here. Thanks, Chief, from Shamika. Thanks, Chief, for showing us how to control energy. The show started one way, but you moved the energy in the direction you desired. Yep. That's what a man is supposed to do. Maintain the reins of control at all times. Men, never walk away from the steering wheel. Never even give it to your wife to say, hey, I want to go to the bathroom. Could you steer the boat for a little while? You don't do that. Okay, you keep a bucket right there, or a Snapple bottle. You urinate in a Snapple bottle. Give it to your son. Hey, man, throw this out. Ew. You know, that's how you have to move as a man. Never take your hands off the wheel, man. Ever. Don't allow anyone else to stare. And I know that sounds, you know, again, we don't usually hear metaphysicians speak like that. We hear them talk about allowing things to happen organically. And there's a time when a woman also no, that's your job, man. Is it tiring? Is it exhausting and draining? Yes. That's your job, player. That's what you have to do. So yeah, if you're teaching or whatever, and someone comes in to take you in a different, hey, peace, Georgina. Why you didn't put you always put, this is from the Netherlands. You didn't put it in this one. You're slacking. You're slacking, woman. She normally gives a shout out where she's from. She said, this is from Netherlands or Holland, one of them. You're from Holland or Netherlands, one of them, you know. But you always have to maintain the reins of control because, you know, we had a lot of people on the line today, right? Let's say we had 150, 200 people between YouTube and Blog Talk. A lot of people called in Netherlands. There we go. A lot of people called in to get some direction and guidance. And that's what's on my shoulders. So there's a responsibility that comes along with that, even in an environment where if someone is saying something wrong or doing something foul, you have to show the example of how to handle that. It's not always going to be with jokes and laughs and all that. You know, sometimes you have to make it clear that you're doing something really wrong. It's like the skunk. When I broke down that skunk magic, sometimes you got to put that black and white tail up. Say, look, man, stop. I didn't spaz out on you. I didn't spray you. I didn't bite you. I didn't claw you. But I'm letting you know you're encroaching upon my personal boundary. And that's what the skunk is about. Remember, I spoke about that on that skunk show. It's about respecting the boundaries. So the skunk lets off the stink. Say, man, come on, man, back up. You know, you're violating my boundaries and my respect. And sometimes as spiritualists, we struggle with that. How much is too much? How much is too much the sacrifice of yourself? You see, sometimes we don't know where to stop, where to draw the line. And, you know, you might have some people that are upset with you or who say, you know what, I'm never listening to you again. I'm going to get off. Fine, bye. Beat it. Scram. You know, it doesn't matter to me. Because if you're standing on your square and you're doing what you're supposed to do it the way you're supposed to do it, or at least if you're doing it with an honor and integrity, because you learn, you know, you make mistakes, but you're doing it with honor and integrity, and you're aware again of your boundaries, and someone is violating them, and you're making it clear to them, and they're not like, okay, I'm sorry, let me stop. If they say, sorry, but, that means they're saying, I'm gonna keep doing this. That means now you're attacking me. This is war. So I don't necessarily have to respond to you with you know, rainbows and balloons at this point, because you're purposely attacking me. You're purposely trying to take something from me. And just because you might turn around and say, well, that's not my intention, doesn't mean that that's not your intention. Because I'm listening with my eyes, not with my ears. All right. That has been our segment. All right. And I will see you all this Sunday for Chief Speaks. As you know, we're starting our segments on authority. All right. So so yeah, we'll be speaking about authority this Sunday. I think you're all going to get a lot of that. I swear, I tell you, by the end of this year, I think you all are going to be some giants. Those of you who are plugged in, if you don't get bored and say, I'll do something else, you know, but if you stay plugged in, I swear, I think you're going to be some giants, man. I think if a couple of you branch out, like Armina was on earlier, or Soto, let me say your name, I'm sorry. Soto Tutu. Soto Tutu jumped on. I saw her pop up there somewhere. She has her own show too. I forget the name of it, but you can put it in the chat thing. Y'all should check out her show, you know, as well. But I think a lot of you, you know, if you fan out and you kind of do your own thing a little bit, take some of this stuff from the root, and share the information. And it doesn't have to be our new teacher. It can be your own. Well, I don't care. But I know you're getting some good stuff. You'll be able to really shift a lot of good energy in the world, on the planet, man. So, um, even the music products or art that some of you guys do. I know I got a couple of dancers as well. I know I got a bunch of strippers too. All you chicks who dancing in the club, man, share the information too with other dancers, man, because a lot of times those sisters in those dance clubs, man, like they're lost. Just in terms of like their hustle and their grind and not being around men who can give them guidance and things like that. So, wherever you at, share it. Wherever you at, share it, man. It doesn't just have to, again, be our new information. Just so you know, I'm not trying to get you to go evangelize for me. But I just feel like if you stay with it, we got some good subjects coming up on Chief Speaks and just during the Strong. If you stay with them and you dissect them and you listen and don't be a jerk off about it and try to be resistant, you're gonna be some real spiritual, mental, and emotional giants by time next year comes. Next year is June 2018. I promise you that one. All right, so that's enough. You are talking about authority in ways already. Yeah, exactly, Bamboo. See, everything means something. Everything adds up to something else. Like the Tyrese conversation, it falls right into what I was speaking about previously in terms of loving the warrior, finding a place for yourself, owning yourself. Everything adds up into everything, believe it or not. Nothing that I say is as random as it may sound. And the show topics are not as random as you might think. They actually connect the dots. And by the time all the dots are connected, you're going to see that they draw you. They're going to draw your body and your face. You say, oh, that looks like me. Yeah. They're what create a whole person. All right, I'm out. I'm not going to read any more of your comments. But feel free to comment on the video. Of course, please comment on the video. Share your thoughts and your ideas and all of that other good stuff. And encourage each other. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I think those are the things I got to say. And, I'll speak to you all this Sunday, unless I do a video in between. All right, until such time.